Welcome, everyone. Tonight at our Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting, the first thing we have on the agenda tonight is 4 public hearings. And at this time, I'll announce the topics for the public hearing. The first is a request to rezone the property of the 1900 block of Washington Street and Veterans Boulevard from the general commercial C2 zoning districts to the medium density residential R2 zoning district, medium high density residential R3 zoning district. That's public hearing number 1. Is there anyone care to speak on that public hearing? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
There was one earlier tonight. There we go. Thank you.
My name is Don Dixon. I was going to speak asking that it not be rezoned. I understand it has now been withdrawn, and it is not need for me to take up your time or my time doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Dixon. Is there anyone else who would care to speak on that public hearing? Please come to the podium and state your name.
And address.
And address.
My name is Marvin Sellers, and for the record, I live at 207 Terra Boulevard. I didn't realize this was how this was going to come out. I was going to comment in public comments, but since it's how we're done, I want to go ahead and say that on the 2040 website, there's a document that says, what is a comprehensive plan? In this document, under adopting the plan, it states the community needs to adopt the plan as an official statement of policy in order for it to take effect. This is usually done by the City Council and through public hearings. The City Council may choose not to adopt the plan, which would require the planners to refine the work they did during previous steps. Once the plan is accepted by city officials, it is then a policy statement in regards to future development. Ordinance 1585 specifically references the Tullahoma 2040 plan in the standards and for amendments for this rezoning recommendation, and also includes the new place type map. Ordinance 1586, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and say it also has the new place type map. As a result of the board voting down the plan, I'm asking that these 2 requests and future zoning requests should only reference the current approved comprehensive plan until the 2040 plan is approved, so that precedent is not set for using an unapproved document. I was going to comment that I don't oppose the rezoning of that property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sellers. Anyone else on public hearing for Veterans Boulevard? If not, I'll close that public hearing and we'll have another public hearing on a request to rezone the property at 208 and 210 West Warren Street from the Central Commercial District C2 to the High Density Residential R3 zoning district. Anyone care to speak on that public hearing? Please come to the podium and state your name and address. No one will close that public hearing. Go to public hearing on the request for the city to designate as surplus real property for the sale at 923 and 925 Maplewood Avenue. If you don't care to speak on that, please come state your name and address. Close the request of the city to designate as surplus real property for the sale of an area 50 feet wide, 120 feet in length, that's 6,000 square feet inside an unapproved right-of-way adjacent to 324 and 326 Druid Lane. Does anyone care to address that public hearing? Please come to the podium and state your name and address. If not, we'll close the public hearing. And with that, we'll call to order the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for August 22, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Okay, with that, we'll have the invocation of Reverend Tim McGehee. Reverend Tim McGehee is here tonight. Yes, Reverend Tim. Please stand for invocation and follow us with the pledge of allegiance.
Hey, Mayor, before I pray, can I say, we've all heard that expression, he or she's from the wrong side of the tracks. I think I'm from the wrong side of the tracks tonight because the train caught me and I almost didn't make it. Let's pray.
Thank you for being here.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and this wonderful time of the year. And we thank you, Lord, for all the wonderful things that are going on around us, the blessings that you continue to send our way every day. We thank you for the breath and the life that we've had today, and for all the needs that you have met for us. And Lord, we're we apologize for taking many of these things for granted. And I think about that saying, what if we tomorrow only had those things which we took time to thank you for today? Where would we be? So help us to always be eternally grateful, and help us to always look to you, our source of wisdom, our source of strength. And would you guide this meeting tonight and preside over it? And we pray this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend McGee.
Thank you, brother.
This time I'll ask the city recorder to call the roll.
Mayor Noes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks,
For the last time, here.
Alderperson Almacher. Here. Berry.
Here.
Blackwell. Here. Dunn. Here. McGee.
Here.
7 present.
7 present, we have a quorum. So at this time, tonight is a bittersweet occasion for our board meeting. We are saying goodbye to a couple of our serving aldermen, and at this time there we have a special award to make to two of the outgoing aldermen. I'd like to ask Rupert Blackwell, if you would, to join me at the flag.
There's a lamp.
Is that me to stand?
Alderman Blackwell, you served us well for the last 3 years.
You look for a picture? It's like, there we go.
And we'll certainly miss you on our board, but that's a lovely presentation for your dedicated service for all in 2019 to 2020. With any special award like this, you're recognized at the podium.
Thank you. Bear with me, this is 5 minutes. I've been timing it. Mayor Noes, my amazing colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to thank you all today. It's been an honor serving alongside each and every one of you. I'm proud of the work we've done these past 3 years. And I'm thankful to have served with you, Mayor Curley, and soon to be again, Alderman Mathis. So thank you to also our city staff for entertaining my litany of questions every 2 weeks, and for continuously serving our citizens every day with humor and dedication. Thank you to all of y'all. I know how hard it is. And of course, I have to say a thank you to my smoking hot husband, Justin, and my sweet girl, Avery, and my baby boy, Jack. Justin, he's behind me. You're our family's rock. Your support, love, and brilliance have kept our family solid these past 3 years. You help with dinners, bedtime, and driving me to knock on doors. You see me bruised and hurting, and you always stayed by my side, lovingly, calmly, and with the quiet strength that you bring to our family. I love you. Avery, thank you. My sweet, brilliant, empathetic, amazing daughter. You've sat through meetings, helped with your baby brother, be embarrassed to hear from your friends at school that your mother's in the newspaper again, and handled it with as much grace as could be expected of a young girl of your age. I am so proud of you, child, every single day of my life. Jack isn't going to remember any of this, but I think it needs to be said that it was in this boardroom, I think my second board meeting, that I went into labor with him, and we can thank Alderman Berry for that. Now, when I graduated here in 1999, I was named valedictorian, and subsequently was tasked with giving the valedictory speech. When I considered what to say, there are many options out there. I could go political, definitely not. I could do a warning, I could attempt to be humorous, I could do a snooty, lofty speech, but who knows, right? I was 18. But in the end, I went with something that I fear would be considered trite, but resonated best with who I was then and who I am today. My speech was about encouragement, and I heralded the moments where my classmates supported one another and challenged them, some of which who are here today, to continue to be encouraging of each other in our endeavors, both possible and impossible, throughout our lives. Daniel, you were there. Now, as an 18-year-old, to me, that meant college and maybe possibly graduate school, because I couldn't see past that stage in my life. But as we all know, life goes way, hopefully, past 24 and gets more complicated each and every single day. While I remember being concerned at 18 at how people might think I'm silly for saying it, I'm 40 plus years old. I'm not giving you the exact age now, and now offering essentially the same darn words of advice to our community again. Because there are some things that withstand time, age, maturity, modernity. I can hear Diane Sawyer saying that right now. Cynicism, and so much more. I'm here to offer my encouragement to my community, my beautiful hometown, who I love despite its many flaws, and to its new leaders. Tullahoma, I believe in you. I believe in the you that welcomed my immigrant parents and my sister in 1977, that gave me my lifelong friends, that brought me to church and baptized me, that cheered me on through math competitions and tennis losses, that stood as my safe place through an abusive relationship, that celebrated my births, that partied with me pretty hard at my wedding and my parents' backyard, that helped us relocate here after the loss of our child, that welcomed my husband, Avery, and I back in 2016 and celebrated the delivery of my son. Tullahoma, I believe in the goodness and kindness you embody on your best days. And I choose to believe in you still, even though I can see us sometimes in our worst. We are a community who's better than what we've been these past few months. These past few months, I've seen our community divided by partisan politics, which shouldn't play a role at this level of government. I've seen our community saying bald-faced lies and half-truths about their neighbors and friends. I've seen our community be swayed by fear-mongering, propaganda, and outside interests. And most importantly, I've seen our community be unkind to one another. And I'm here to tell you that we are all better than this. We are each other's neighbors. We are each other's coaches. We worship next to one another. We drop our children off at school together. And while I'm here to encourage you, I'm challenging every single one of us to do better and to be better. I moved back to this town because I wanted to raise my family in a place that embraced small town family values, where we spend our dinners at home with our children, where we read books to our children at night, see our teachers at the stores, at events, and volunteering to help our community be a better place, where we value education and culture, and dare I say social appropriateness, and yes, Southern hospitality, where we help our neighbors in need after a storm, feed those less fortunate than us, and where we shelter those with no shelter on a cold night. I moved here because I believed our town embodied those same values that I was taught right here in Tullahoma. About 2 months ago, I saw people questioning my values and saying I clearly had different values from them. And to those that said that, you probably were right. I do have different values from you. I believe in the values of Tullahoma in 1977 that welcomed my family with open arms. Not what I've seen from our community lately. Tullahoma, we are all better than this. I'm encouraging you to return to Tullahoma that we know and loved, to not allow division in a small community, to truly love one another as Christ loves his church, to care for one another simply because it's the right thing to do. And I'm here to encourage you and our new leaders to truly do justice, love mercy, and act humbly. And I say this simply because I love this community and want the best for every single one of you. It has meant the world to me to be able to do amazing work alongside each of y'all, and it's every one of you in here. Thank you for allowing me the 3 years to serve my hometown.
Thank you, Alderman Blackman. This time I'd like to recognize Alderman Snowview McGee. Would you join me at the flag, please? Alderman McGee, in recognition for your dedicated service in Alderman of the City of Tullahoma last 2 years, since you were appointed to serve an outgoing alderman, we welcome you on this board, and you've been an outstanding alderman for those 2 years, so congratulations. And the podium is yours.
I read this at our last meeting, so I'm just going to read it again. To the citizens of Tullahoma and to my colleagues on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, to my family, thank you for allowing me to serve as one of your aldermen the last 2 years. Thank you for allowing me to make history by being the first African American female to hold this position. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve and work with each of you. I did my best to serve with excellence, humility, grace, poise, diligence, wisdom, and class, being mindful of not only what I said, but how I said it. I will continue to be involved in the community, just as I did prior to being appointed alderman. I want to congratulate Daniel Berry, Coach Mathis, Kurt Glick, and Bobby Wilson. I got it right tonight. I pray that the needs of the people are met and that you allow their voices to be heard, that each of you serve with the heart for your city and our citizens without any other motives. A true leader doesn't cause division or separation, but a true leader brings people together. We are a city made up of people from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and different cultures. It is important that you are willing to serve them all. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Alderman McGee. So that dealt with the bitter part. Now we go with the sweet part. Certainly I'd like to welcome the newly elected officers that are here tonight, the elected officials. You've all run excellent campaigns, successful campaigns, so I'd like to say welcome now to the board. And with that, I'd like to introduce the city of Stephen Worsham, who's our city judge, and he'll read the election results.
This is the certification of election results for the city of Tullahoma for the election that was held August the 4th. We, the undersigned members of the Coffee County Election Commission, combined with the certification of the Franklin County Election Commission, do hereby certify that we held a municipal election for the city of Tullahoma on Thursday, August 4th, 2022, in the voting precincts of the city, according to law, for the purpose of electing 4 Tullahoma City Aldermen and 2 Tullahoma City Board members, and that we have canvassed the combined returns of said election as required by law, and we do hereby certify that the following pages of tabulation are true, correct, and complete, accounting of the results by precinct of said election as established by the canvassing of the returns this 9th day of August, 2022. That was executed by the county commissioner, the election commission chairman, the county election secretary, and 3 members of the Coffee County Election Commission. They have certified that the following persons were elected as aldermen for the city of Tullahoma: Daniel Berry, 1,528 votes. Kurt Glick, 1,731 votes. Jerry Mathis, 1,919 votes. And Bobby Wilson, 1,528 votes. Further, the following persons were elected to the school board: Gigi Robinson, 2,360 votes, and Sid Hill, 1,749 votes. Therefore, those 4 aldermen and 2 school board members are elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worsham. So at this time, I'd like to ask Judge Connolly, who has done this many times in the past. I think he can get through it again tonight.
I'll try, Mr. Mayor. Now, Jim Woodard gave me some instructions of swearing Lane Curley, but I don't see the oath in here, Jim. So I'm going to skip over that and go to Mr. Berry, if that's already here. Daniel, if you come up.
If you would, just call them up as they are on your agenda. After you've taken the oath, just take a seat in the audience, and then after all the oaths have been taken, we will exchange seats with the newly elected officers, and then we'll do placard names for the voting and for on the desk.
All right.
Judge Connolly.
Daniel, if you can please raise your right hand. I, Daniel Berry,
I, Daniel Berry,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties of said office
perform the duties of said office
during my incumbency
during my incumbency
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or partiality,
or partiality,
to the best of my skill and ability.
to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I need you. I'll have to turn that in, okay. I think I'll turn that in to I'll turn this in. All right, Kurt Glick. I see Kurt around here somewhere. Kurt, congratulations.
Thank you.
If you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kurt Glick,
I, Kirk Blake,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties
perform the
of
duties
said office
of said office
during my tenure
during my tenure
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or partiality,
or partiality,
to the best of my skill
to the best of my skill
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. And we have Jerry Mathis, our neighbor. Come on up here, neighbor. Congratulations again.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think we've done this before, a few years ago.
A
You're the
few
same
years
one.
ago and a few times.
Yeah, okay. Then if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jerry Mathis,
I, Jerry Mathis,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties of said
perform the
office
duty of said office
during my incumbency
during my incumbency
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or partiality,
partiality,
to the best of my skill
best of my skills
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good. You did it again. You did it again. I need your signature right there. Yes, sir.
Every once in a while, I want to put coach here because that's how I'm ever taught.
All right. And Ms. Wilson, where is Bobby Wilson? Yeah, there you are. And if you, congratulations. And if you would please raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Bobby Wilson,
I, Bobby Wilson,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties of said office
perform the duties of said office
during my tenure
during my tenure
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or
or
partiality,
partiality,
to the best of my skill
to the best of my skill
and ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
Excellent. Thank you. And now we're going to switch to the GG bar. Yes, come on up here. You can bring that beautiful little girl with you if you want to. You stand over there.
All these babies.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And please repeat after me. I, Gigi Robinson,
I, Gigi Robinson,
school board member
school board member
for the City of Tullahoma,
for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
impartially
perform the duties of said office
perform the duties of said office
during my incumbency
during my incumbency
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or partiality,
or
to the
partiality,
best of my skill
best of my skill
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me
You
God.
got it. Way to go. Thank you. I love those little ones. All right. And I don't know if Mr. Hill is here or not.
He's not.
And so that concludes you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Conley. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Let me know and I will get whatever you need to. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
At this time, we will ask the outgoing board members to step down. And the
Clay Dye, thanks for your comments, but I can't, with regards to legal counsel, I can't say anything.
and we'll be in recess for about 5 minutes. And you board members can, and during the recess, we will change the voting board out, change the voting machine and the names on the desk.
See you.
Aren't there some down at the front? Are there not agendas down at the front?
Yeah, here, I'll get one.
Actually,
okay, Jordan, you got it.
We'll be back in session. At this point, the first thing that on order of business is to approve the agenda for tonight that was distributed earlier. Are there any objections to?
Speak up, please. Can't hear you.
Thank you. Is that better? Okay. The first thing on the order of business tonight is to approve the agenda. The agenda was distributed earlier, and if there are no objections, we will approve the agenda as presented.
No, I have an objection.
Yes.
I have 4 amendments to the agenda I would like to put on to old business one by one, please.
Can you have them written out, or do you?
I do not necessarily have them written out, but they are on the previous agenda. So if I have those here, if our Ms. Golden needs them.
Okay.
Starting with number 1, I would like to add to the agenda a reconsideration of Ordinance number 1584 to amend the Code of Ordinance of the City of Tullahoma. This was on the second and final reading from last week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, for the special rules and procedures for the board. I would like to add that to old business and make a motion to reconsider. Well, I would like to make it new business then.
Do you want to move ordinance number 1584 to new business to reconsider?
It's, yes, number 1584 for a motion to reconsider, yes. In the rules, it says that you can reconsider. We reconsider from the previous meeting. We have it in our rules that we can reconsider the next meeting, but then past that, we cannot.
This is a part aside from it. When you become a new board, because you've had several in their term, when that comes as it is tonight, then everything that had been done before, all considerations, fall to the floor. You can't even do that. What happens if you want to entertain what you're doing, then you introduce that as a discussion on that item again. So the reconsiderations, any postponements, anything.
So it's just new business.
It would be new business, and you would not go into reconsideration. You would just put that that item on under new business if that's what you want to add to an agenda. But nothing that has happened previous to this. This becomes a new board who deliberates. Does that make sense? You want me to read it?
If it is an ordinance that is already passed, can you just add that back? It's already passed with two readings.
So
it's passed.
It's passed, except this would be the only opportunity that we would have to do that based on our rules. So I would like to get a second, please.
Second.
Yeah. These are your rules. These are the rules, because your documents do not speak to what happens when you become a new board.
Well,
so it defaults back to Roberts.
Yes, and so Robert's rules say that you can have a motion to reconsider. It does not say a new board. It actually says you can reconsider any action. I sat on the previous board, therefore I would be the only person that could make the motion.
May I read this?
Please read.
Okay. Under Robert's rules. I'm sorry? You want to hear? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Under the Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, this is RONR 21-7, when the adjournment closes a session in a body that will not have another regular session within a quarterly time interval, or closes a session that ends the term of all or some of the members, as may happen in elected legislative assemblies, matters temporarily but not finally disposed of, except those that remain in the hands of a committee to which they have been referred, fall to the ground. That means they're ended. Whatever took place before has ended. They can, however, be introduced at the next session the same as if they had never before been brought up. So you have the opportunity to bring that ordinance back, but not for a reconsideration. You will debate it as though it is a new ordinance to be debated. So anything that happened before that, and I think we discussed this, it's not in your policies or in your code to do anything other.
So it's your desire
May I restate?
to bring ordinance number 1584
Yes.
back to this.
I would like to
new
bring it
session.
back to new session under the Section 1 authority and rules that states, pursuant to the provisions of the Charter of the City of Tullahoma, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen may enact rules of procedure for all meetings, which shall be in effect upon their adoption by the board and until such times as they are amended, or, and this is the or, new rules adopted. So make the motion to adopt new rules. And that will be what I would like to add as the first item.
Second.
Okay, we have a second, and this will be added to our new business.
Yes.
This old ordinance 1584 will be added as new business. It'll be the first item that we bring to the table under new business.
Yes, and then I have 3 others, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's handle that one first. Let's vote. That's what we're about to do.
So we vote.
Okay.
Do we vote green to?
Vote green to
add it to the
add
agenda.
it to the agenda.
Okay.
Red for no. That ordinance passes 6-1. Okay, and your second one.
Okay. My second one I would like to so I need to figure out how to state this properly given what you just said to me. So one moment, please. I would like to reconsider the appointment of the TUA. I mean, I guess reconsider is not the word. I would like to consider an appointment to the TUA that we recently appointed, considering that, I don't know how to say it without discussing it. But when I spoke to MTAS, we did something we shouldn't do. So I need to bring it back to the table. So I need to make a motion to reconsider the previous appointment, or a motion to consider the most recent appointment that has not taken effect to the TUA.
I second it.
That is not an appropriate, that comes under the
It's not
section
prevailing,
of-
we voted.
That is not under the section of anything that can be reconsidered. That is an election, and I believe that's be inappropriate.
It has not gone into effect until September 8th.
It doesn't make any difference. The appointment was voted on by this body. It was voted in.
It was not voted on by this body. That's kind of the problem.
It was voted on the body at that time, and that election was in place at that time, and it was accepted at that time.
But it was an illegal vote considering it was a citizen's appointment, and the individual voted was not a citizen at the time of the appointment. So it should be nullified as against several different codes of ethics.
improper.
It's improper.
Are you
And
talking
so
about the citizen
I want to redo it
participation
and make it proper, and if the
form?
same individual receives it, that's fine. But what we did was improper and actually illegal.
That comes under the session, that comes under the election category and Robert's rules, and is not permitted.
It has not gone into effect yet. It does not go into effect until September 8th. And we voted a board member to a citizen appointment while they were still a sitting board member. We can't do that. So now the same member may, and I'm all for that, get the same appointment. However, I want to do things by the book, and we cannot perpetuate ignorance just for the sake of tradition. We have got to stop doing things that are underhanded. So I need a second, please.
Second it.
Even if something was wrong.
And this board did it, now I'm undoing it. So even if this is wrong, I have a second, I'd like to call the question.
First, we got to get it on the agenda.
I'm sorry, but we can't hear you.
The debate is on the election that took place for the Tullahoma Utilities Group, and the alderman has just said that it was illegal because it has to be a citizen and not a sitting alderman.
That's correct.
And would you cite that, please?
So it is a citizen participation form, correct, that you had to fill out for a nomination. And so this person was also our sitting aldermanic representative to the TUA as a board member at the same time. You cannot sit in both seats respectively. And so it was improper and it was illegal to vote a board member to a citizen's seat.
I did hear the MTAS people attribute to what Jenna.
We asked, when we went to the TML conference, we asked, and it was told to us that that was improper and that we should redo it. And if the same person gets it, there's no harm, no foul. But because it was illegal, it should be nullified.
Can we get an opinion from the attorney?
Yes, I think he's correct. Get one from the attorney. Because I'm not legal.
Does our legal counsel have anything to weigh in on this, please? I appreciate what you're bringing to the board, but try to get it right.
You guys want to bring your microphones
Thank you.
down?
Since I didn't know in advance that this matter was going to come up, I sort of want to research this. There are thousands of laws, as Ms. Almacher knows, that are on the books in Tennessee, and I don't purport to know but just a minuscule amount of those. So I think it's fine to postpone her matter until a later opportunity for me to do some research about that. I'd have the opportunity to speak to MTAS about that. So I don't really know. I don't have an answer, and I'm not going to venture an answer. In the Army, they say if you don't know the answer, just tell them anything, they'll probably believe you. But I'm not going to do that to y'all. So I didn't have an opportunity to talk with them, nor have an opportunity to research it. But what Ms. Almacher says makes sense. And so I would like to look into that before I can give you an opinion about that.
I would also say that, just as you just said, what the board did prior, even if it was incorrect, it's done. We're going to go under that same argument because I believe that what we are doing is trying to make something proper. And I would say that time is of the essence. It has to be done at this meeting because we will not meet again until that citizen's term would take effect. Now, this is not because I disagree with the person that got chosen. I'm fine with the person that got chosen. However, it needs to be from a citizen's position of power and not from a board member's position of power. So I would like a second, and I would like to call the question.
We have
a second, and we'll have a vote on putting this on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor.
I find it problematic. Can't hear you. I'm sorry. I usually just talk to the chair if there is an issue, and I don't mind talking to everybody. This is very complicated, and was a proper election held.
It was not proper.
And there was an election held. At that time, it would have been the time to bring this up.
I did.
That it was illegal?
I objected, and my objection was
There wasn't a
overruled.
parliamentarian here that evening.
Okay.
So my objection is on the record then, and I continue to try to make something right that was wrong.
I understand. I was just simply given the information that there was an election, and under Roberts, regardless of where you are with...
The term has not taken effect yet. So
I understand that, Alderman Amacher. What I'm saying is that what Roberts says, and Roberts says once an election has taken place and the person that is being elected has been informed of the election, you cannot rescind or reconsider it. And that point, then I have to defer to your attorney because I'm not a lawyer.
Right. I would also say that this is not an election, this is an appointment. Nope. And it's a citizen appointment that we, the board, did elect. Correct. And we held an election for a citizen appointment. But you cannot elect someone to a citizen appointment who is not sitting in a citizen's position. So if the same individual were to receive the votes, that would be fine. If the same individual does not receive the votes, then we can have that argument at that point. But I would like it added. I have a second, and I'd like to call the question, and our mayor has also asked for the question to be called.
I have
Further discussion.
I object on a couple of things. One, she wasn't even in the election. We can't hear you. Even in the election, she was not on the prevailing side.
We still can't hear you, Dan. Can you put your microphone?
Even in the election, she was not on the prevailing side. So there wouldn't be grounds, even if you could reconsider. You can't do that. Secondly, Robert's rules are the rules, Mayor, and if this does go through, I will object and speak with council on us breaking the law. May I finish? I will object on the grounds, legal grounds, should we continue as this mean.
What we voted on that I'm actually reconsidering is item number 22-121, which says consider appointment of a qualified applicant to the Tullahoma Utility Authority Board. That is what I've also voted yes to when we got a motion in a second and that was put on the floor. So actually, since I was on the prevailing side of voting yes to considering the appointment, I should have the right to bring that back to consider the appointment.
Any further discussion of putting it on the agenda? Not vote yes to put it on the agenda?
I am abstaining.
I actually have something to say. I think given that Mr. Worsham has not had time to research this, I think a better decision would be to not put it on tonight's agenda, but to wait for his counsel before we vote.
We need a motion to postpone.
I make a motion to postpone until Mr. Worsham is able to do some research on this
There's nothing to postpone until it goes on the agenda.
That's true.
So it has to go on the agenda first for you to get a motion to postpone.
To whether to put it on the agenda or not.
And then we can vote to postpone. Okay, vote yes to put it on the agenda, vote no for not.
Mayor, I am abstaining based off the grounds. I do not believe this is a legal vote.
It's 5-1. Put it on the agenda. We'll have further discussion then. That's 2 items. And your third one.
Okay, item number 3. I would love to caveat, but I'm going to do this the right way, so I'm going to ask for the audience's trust in this. I would like to add to the agenda ordinance number 1582, an ordinance to adopt the Think Tullahoma 2040 Comprehensive Plan. And I will need a second.
Second.
That's 1582 from which board meeting was that?
It was from the previous board meeting that it was added. It's the ordinance to adopt the Think Tullahoma 2040 Comprehensive Plan. And since she said we would not be doing motions to reconsider since this is a new board, that one was actually voted down. So this will just be an item of new business.
Okay, state your motion again.
Motion is for the adoption of the Think Tullahoma 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
And that motion's already been acted on and sent back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration.
We are in a new board, Mayor, and according to what she just said, we have the authority to bring anything back up.
Okay.
I have discussion.
There's no discussion.
Yes, there is discussion pertaining to bringing it back. I want to understand why we're bringing it back. We're going to raise Lazarus just to put him back in the ground?
Yes, with
I'm not
instructions.
finished. I am speaking. I am speaking.
Okay, I was clarifying for you.
So, Mayor, I would ask that you control the crowd. I'm not understanding. We voted the plan down back to the Planning Commission, and so we are going to put it back on the agenda unless the intent is to pass the plan, which I don't support. I don't understand why we would put it back on the agenda if it's to prevent it from coming back up in a session. Well, that doesn't matter because we're sending it back to the commission for amendments, so it becomes a new ordinance that we can still bring back up because it significantly changes that. So I don't understand. I think it looks pretty silly for us to raise it just to kill it again.
Well, if
we have a motion.
No, I had something. I had something to say.
We don't have a second yet. We have to get a second.
I seconded it already.
Okay, excuse me.
Okay, you said you don't understand. I don't think anybody understood why you brought it back in the first place once we promised the citizens, or not we, the board promised the citizens of a certain methodology that would be followed, and then you brought it back up and denied that plan. So that's why I think it needs to be brought back up.
To be fair, I killed it, and then there was concern over not having the meetings.
There was a lot of concern.
And so what we did is at the end of that, we not only killed the plan,
Point of order, relevancy.
but we also said we gave instructions to the city administrator to go forward with no less than 4 and to do a joint session with both boards and the consultants. So we didn't cut anything out that we promised to anybody. We gave it separate instructions. So unless the plan is to, are we going to raise it, kill it with the exact same instructions that she already has?
I guess you'll just have to wait and find out.
Well, I think just to make everybody, feel on it's a hard process, and it's trying to get this plan passed, and it takes a lot of trust on both parts of the citizens and the board, Planning Commission, and everybody. And when they feel, or a group of people that are in that contract felt like they were betrayed and their trust was broken, I think if we take a step back, go back to where we were before, and start over again, maybe we can start building the bridge that can lead to a successful conclusion.
I'll vote yes, just so we can look silly.
Other things are, but if it's in the hands of the committee and it was appropriately sent back to the planning commission, right now it's in the hands of the planning commission, and you can do nothing until that committee reports out.
Then I'd like to reconsider the vote because of sunshine laws, because we did not advertise it being on the agenda when we brought it back to the table. And there is but one time that which a vote can be nullified, and that is when it is in violation of sunshine. We did not advertise that reconsideration, so I need to undo that which has been done, because once again, we did something illegal. Now, yes, because we did not advertise that in the agenda that we would be discussing or adopting or denying the 2040 plan. And I realize this is kind of a backwards way of doing that for me to do the exact same thing that which I am criticizing. However, as Mr. Berry so delightfully pointed out in previous meetings, we have a couple of options with this thing. And I feel like we didn't exercise all of them. Number one, we need to send it back to the prior committee with instructions. That is what I would like to do.
You don't have the authority to give them instructions.
Well, actually, I disagree with that.
I'd like to ask our parliamentarian to read the rules that she has from Robert's Rules on handling this.
I may be wrong, but as I understand it, that was sent back to the Planning Commission, correct?
On another illegal vote. Because he made a motion to reconsider, a motion to postpone, a week later after something had already been postponed, and it was also against sunshine laws and freedom of information because we did not even advertise this Adopt 2040 comprehensive plan. So number one, I'm setting again a precedent, and I would like to set the record straight that yes, we are going to obviously, hopefully kill this thing, but I think we do so with instructions to our staff and to the Planning Commission of the expectation going forward. Because it's my understanding that even tonight we had something that had to be removed from the agenda because they had been using the 2040 plan as an advisory piece. I'm mitigating risk here. I'm mitigating risk towards the board and towards the city of Tullahoma.
I did hear that brought up also at the MTAS conference when the ethics class.
Mayor, I have a quick suggestion. The plan's dead for now, as far as we killed that plan, so as far as we're concerned. If the concern is not giving instruction back to the Planning Commission, we can't do the Planning Commission, but if we wanted a resolution or whatever, or we wanted to give city staff further instructions, instead of raising Lazarus to kill him again, what about we add an item to new business to give staff instruction and to send a recommendation to the Planning Commission, and that solves all problems. Plan's dead. We're still having all the meetings that we promised, and then we're going to add a second separate item for this is what we want you to consider. I feel like that would achieve all goals and avoid all of this.
Right now, it's in the hands of the Planning Commission. However instructed or not instructed, and it's with them, and it is not in the purview of this board at this time.
We sent it back with an illegal vote. We sent it back with an illegal vote that can be nullified according to sunshine laws, and that is my intent to now. I make a motion to nullify the previous vote based on the fact that it was illegal.
I second it.
Wait.
This is gaslighting. It was not illegal. It was not illegal.
It was illegal because it was against sunshine. We did not advertise that we would be voting on that plan. You also made a motion to reconsider, a motion to postpone, which you absolutely cannot reconsider a collateral motion. And that is in Robert's rules. So at the previous board meeting, when this was brought back up and killed, actually that vote in itself should be null. So we actually have not killed this thing the way it should be. Okay, it's a vampire, y'all. We haven't killed it. It is live and well.
So you're going to break the law according to you?
No, I'm going to nullify it and bring it back so that we can do this properly. I'm going to nullify the previous vote and bring it back to the table since it should have been on the table at a future board meeting anyways from the last meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to put the 2040 plan back on the agenda tonight under new business. And we have a second. And we've had discussion. All in favor of putting it back on the agenda tonight, vote green.
Mayor, I abstain because I believe that this is against the rules.
Abstain.
And that vote passes 5-0.
Mayor, I have one last item.
Oh, she said 3.
She got 4.
She said 4.
I said 4. One second, I hope my computer does not just die. Jordan, I need that number, that ordinance number. Okay, the ordinance, and I will get you the number here in just a second. But I would like to I would like to add resolution number, insert that here in just a second because my computer just died. On the adoption of the ARP money plan, I think it's all that said, wasn't it? It was the spending plan for the ARP money. I would like to bring that back to the table this evening, since it is a plan and can be revised. So the resolution, I am not sure the number because my computer just died, but Jordan, I did ask them to get that for me earlier today, so he'll bring it right back up to you.
Time for discussion.
Oh, here it is. For some reason it came back on. It's Resolution 1898. It was a resolution adopting a spending plan for the American Rescue Plan Act funds for the fiscal year 2022 through 2026. It is a spending plan, therefore it can be amended. I would like to bring that back to tonight's agenda.
Need a second? I'll second. Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I mean, I'd like to take the street sweeper off, so that's why I'm seconding it.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on that? If not, we'll put that on the agenda. Vote green for yes and red for no. And that passes 6-1 to put that on the agenda.
Now, the whole agenda as well.
Now, there are other...
I've got an agenda item I'd like to change, please. I'd like to move the Ms. Hope Nunley to the before the reports from Aldermen, please. I'm not sure. She was with the beer board.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
Need a second.
What was she doing?
Got a second? Discussion on moving the beer board before the board reports.
Before report.
Vote green for yes and red for no. That passes 7-0. That's another agenda change. I have an agenda change as well. This is under the consent agenda. Item number 22-124. I am removing item 22-124, which is the appointment of Ms. Molly Markham, serve as the remainder of an unexpired term. Removing that for further consideration. It'll be brought back at next board meeting. Need a second on that?
I will second.
Got a second? Any discussion on removing that? Vote green for yes and red for no. And that passes 5-2. Okay, are there any other changes to the agenda?
Mayor, would you recognize Mary Samaniego?
Mary Samaniego, we may have another agenda change.
Thank you, Mary Samaniego, City of Tullahoma Planning Department. So for new business items 11 and 12, which are ordinance numbers 1585 and 1586, they're both rezonings. I'd like to administratively withdraw both of those applications. Over the past month, I've had questions from the public concerning the adoption process of the Think Tullahoma 2040 plan in relation to the Planning Commission approval and then the board approval and what the process is and how that works. I'm And it was also brought up at the last Board of Aldermen meeting, questioning that approval process. So since that time, I asked the city attorney to confer with some of his colleagues, as well as MTAS, legal authority for the city. It was determined that because the Planning Commission adopted their initial general plan in 1966, that any subsequent plan, even if it's a completely new rewrite, is considered an amendment. And so that amendment does have to go before the Planning Commission and the Board of Aldermen. So therefore, the board must approve the comprehensive plan for it to be legally effective and operable. So right now, as of today, the 2012 comprehensive plan is the city's comprehensive plan until, when and if, the plan that's now, we're still taking public comment. We have public comment Friday and Saturday again at D.W. Wilson. We'll continue to take public comment. Then we will take it back to the Planning Commission for amendments and then bring it to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for their required approval.
So you're removing...
So therefore, let me segue back. So therefore, items number 11 and 12 were both rezonings that the required consistency review was done on the 2040 plan, which legally was not the effective and operable plan. So in order for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to adopt a rezoning ordinance, you have to find a consistency review on the plan, the effective plan. That was not done. My staff analysis was done on the 2040 plan. That was not the effective plan. It should have been done on the 2012 plan.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Is the property owner here?
Neither of the property owners are here. I contacted them before this meeting and alerted to them.
Just out of curiosity, what's their timeline and their consensus? Is this the Florence Hole property, one of them?
One of the properties is the 1900 block of North Washington Street. It's the Harton family properties. And the other rezoning was Florence Hall, the property at 208 and 210 West Warren Street. Ms. Allmarker, I had both of these property owners were interested in pursuing a rezoning based on the 2040 plan. I had anticipated that the 2040 plan would go through the Planning Commission and adopted on July 7th, and that it would go through a first reading at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on the July 25th, and that the second and final approval of the plan would have been August 8th, and therefore these two rezonings would have been eligible for the first reading tonight. Unfortunately, as we all know, that didn't happen. So now that review at the Planning Commission level was done under the incorrect plan.
Improperly.
Right.
Yes.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion to remove item number 11 and number 12 from new business. Alderman Berry, a motion?
Second.
Need a second? Got a second? Green for removal and red for no. That passes 7-0. Okay, with that, on the agenda changes.
Can I, Mayor, can we change the beer board to immediately after the approval of the agenda, given fussy babies?
That's where we have it.
Okay.
At this point, we're welcome the chamber.
Whole agenda as amended.
We got to approve the old agenda as amended.
I don't know, do I talk about the minutes right now? Yes. I passed out to all you guys a updated minutes. I amended 2 little things on there. So what's in the agenda, can you insert? I don't know how to do that. I made some changes to the minutes of last meeting. I passed it out with your names on them. Minutes for August 8th, so we will just replace these into the minutes and throw out the other ones. I don't know if there needs to be a motion.
What changes did you
You just have to ask to wait till she gets to that point. You just have to ask.
That's part
that
of the
be
consent
approved.
agenda. To wait? Yeah, wait. Okay, this shouldn't have win. Okay, so we have 7 changes to the agenda.
Yes. At this time, we have Ms. Hope Sarton Nunley.
We have to vote to approve.
We'll approve the agenda as amended. No, green for yes and red for no.
I would need one clarification. Does the agenda include the consent agenda? Are we voting on that separately?
The consent agenda is part of the agenda, so we're including that in the agenda.
Then I have one more objection. I do not want the consent agenda as part of the amended agenda. I would like to make a motion for, even further policy. The way we used to do it, we would vote on the consent agenda separately from our regular agenda, or otherwise, why do we need a consent agenda? That should be 2 separate votes. We should vote on the approval of the agenda, which is old and new business, and then we should vote on the approval of the consent agenda as a separate vote.
That's what happens.
Okay, I'm just making sure that the consent agenda will be a separate vote.
It will be a separate vote. Yes.
Okay. As long as it's a separate vote. I just want to make sure I was correct. Thank you.
You're removing the consent agenda.
We will have a separate vote for the consent agenda. I'm just making sure that we're going to have a separate vote for the consent agenda. Yes.
Let's vote on the consent agenda as amended at this point.
No, this is not the consent agenda.
This is just the full agenda.
This is just the full agenda.
Is where we are.
Includes the consent.
But I would like to clarify, just to make sure that there are no surprises. You don't plan on pulling anything. If you're going to pull something out, now is the time to do that.
Right, yes, I understand.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're voting on the agenda as amended.
Yes.
Green for yes and red for no. And that passes 7-0. With that, we will now turn to our Chamber of Commerce Director, Ms. Hope Sarton Nunley, who's going to talk to us about a beer board item.
That's right. Thank you.
Open the beer board meeting.
Yes. Thank you all so much for allowing me the time to speak with you and for the bump on the agenda. My president was unable to be with me this evening, so I brought my other boss that you guys have heard throughout the night. But we do have a really exciting event coming up on Thursday, September 8th. It is our Taste of Tullahoma and Business Expo, and so I am before you to ask for a permit for that event and also to just invite all of you to attend and join us. So this event will be held at the Tennessee National Guard Armory and coincides with the Great American Defense Community Visit. It's going to be very patriotic and just very exciting, very family friendly. Children 12 and under do get in for free. We're going to have some bounce houses, some great food, and some full-size sampled beverages on hand. So we hope that you'll join us. Does anyone have any questions for me? Where can you get tickets? I heard that. You can get them at the door.
What are the costs of the tickets?
They're $15 a piece, and again, kids 12 and under do get in free.
Thank you.
It's going to be at the Tennessee National Guard Armory.
Where are the tickets there?
Oh, at the door.
If we approve.
Any questions?
Are we just going to go through the whole beer board?
We'll go the consent
start with
agenda.
consent, okay.
With that, let's reverse the order. Let's get a vote on the new business, and we will vote to approve this with consider waiving this special event fee as well. Second. Alderman Berry.
Motion to approve and with waiving the special event permit fee.
Need a second? Got a second. Vote green for yes and red for no.
And this is for the beer board?
For the beer board.
Okay.
And that passes 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Nunley.
Thank you.
And with that, we can backtrack to the consent agenda for the beer board. Kirk? Trying to get Ms. Nunley moving. So anyway, moving back to the consent agenda, we have a consent agenda and get a motion to approve the consent agenda done. And Barry, any question? Vote green for approve the consent agenda and red for no. And that passes 7-6 to 1. With that, we'll close the beer board. There being no other new business, we'll go back to the regular agenda items. Regular board meeting.
That was the beer board, now we're going back to the other board.
At this time, we're going to open the podium to any comments from citizens. If you'd like to speak tonight, if you've signed in, please come to the podium, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes, state your name and address and before speaking. So, anyone, please come forward.
Mayor, do we vote on the consent agenda or is that next?
State your name and address.
My name is David Cooley. I live on 200 Swift Lane.
I'm sorry, 200 Swift Lane.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your name?
David Cooley.
Mr. Cooley, David Cooley.
And the reason I'm here is I got a problem with my neighbor. One of the city administrators brought this up too. This guy is driving on my property doing damage. Now I got it on my phone. I was here once before. Mr. Berry got it. Miss Allmarker talked to him, but she walked out and said, okay, talk to the chief. That's what I did. The guy is driving an 18-wheeler down a little one-lane road, going around the cul-de-sac, coming on my property, which is city property, and doing damage to it. And I like for the city to do something about it. Either pave around the cul-de-sac or let me do what I have to do to protect my property. And if you want to see the video, I got videos of them doing it. I'll pass it on to you. I'll do that now. He's driving an 18-wheeler around with a 53-foot bed, flatbed, hauling a dozer or driving just to haul a tractor around the cul-de-sac. My whole thing is, yeah, you got the easeway, but why do you have to come on my property when you got his brother-in-law across the street? He don't even get close to it. He takes his time. And there's one where that one right there, he knocks the brakes up and leaves skid marks. I got more, and this is probably about the third or fourth time that he's done it.
You know how a lot of
But Mr. Cooley, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I'm sure you brought it to the attention of the Tullahoma.
I'm trying to keep from doing something, from suing somebody, because this needs to stop. Because the guy, got a report on it last week. He told the officer, what's the problem? There's an easeway. I agree with that. But now he also said, I can do what I want, when I want, down this road. So in other words, he's got free reign to do what he wants. If the city guy that says that he got an easeway, they need to come out there and pave around it so he can get around it without going in my yard. Because I will be putting up a fence. But I want somebody to come out there and measure where the city easement is so I can put my fence up. Then that way, I ain't got no problem. But considering I'm the only racial ethic person out there, he's going to do what he wants to do. And he don't say that. And the officer he told that to, said the same thing. He looked at him, the officer, and told him that's what he's going to do. So if he's allowed to do it, then what am my tax money being used for? I don't get no patrol out there. I can count on my finger how many times, I've been out there since '98. I can count how many times the police has been out there at my house. 6 times. And I've been out there since '98. But whenever something like this happened, nobody knows anything about it. But like I said, I've talked to the chief. He said he's going to get patrols out there. But this guy does what he wants to do. And it needs to be stopped. Because I like to know how is he allowed to drive a truck that big around a one-lane road cul-de-sac. That's what I want, because there's weight limits on certain roads. But there's no weight limit on this road, and there should be one on this road. Because the road comes out wide and it thins out to just one car can go by. So that's what I like to know. I like to see what the city's going to do.
Mr. Cooley, we'll take it under, we'll give it to the appropriate people.
Well, that's
Thank you for bringing it to us.
I talked to Mr. Berry. Mr. Berry said the same thing, but it ain't doing no good. So my next option is I'm going to sue. And I got two options where I'm going to go with that. It's going to be a big surprise to everybody when I do it. So, the city
We'll
needs,
try to get it fixed.
it needs to be fixed because
Thank you.
I'm not finished yet.
Oh, excuse
Because
me.
when I first moved out there, I was told that I couldn't even get a building permit because the road wasn't paved. I had that paved. I had to have city water put down there because the city wasn't going to pay for it. They was wanting me to pay for it. Then I brought up the deal and said, okay. I asked them a question. If my house catches on fire that time, who's going to pay for it? The woman at the time said that I would. I said, oh, so you tell me that if my house catches on fire, it's going to be my responsibility? I told her no. I said, law says there's supposed to be a fire hydrant every 150 feet. The closest fire hydrant to my house was 0.5 miles. Now, since I brought all that up, I done had all that done. But now I got this problem right here. So the city needs to come out there and either pave it or have somebody come out there and mark from the center of the road to their easement. That way, I'll put a fence up. Then that'll solve all the problems. Then when he hits it, somebody goes to jail. And I don't want to do that. But I'm being forced to do all this now. So thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to us.
Mayor, can we instruct somebody to go measure that?
We'll give it to the appropriate authorities to take care of it. Anyone else with public comments? Your name and address, please.
My name is, excuse me, this so they can hear me here. Excuse me. My name is John Paris, and I am a resident here of the city of Tullahoma. Is there anything else you need other than that?
Blue Sky Court?
Excuse me?
Blue Sky Court?
Yes, 95 Blue Sky Court, yes. Okay, Mayor, Board, and Aldermen. First, I'd like to state that under Tennessee Law Code of Conduct, 1, a lawyer is an expert in law pursuing a learned art in service to clients and in the spirit of public service and engaging in these pursuits as part of a common calling to promote justice and public good. Therefore, I declare I am not a licensed lawyer or attorney representing nor speaking on behalf of any group, agency, company, city, county, or state government agency. As a resident of the city of Tullahoma, I'm requesting that the following document be entered into the official record of this meeting to the Mayor, Board of Aldermen, and a copy to the city and county attorney's office for legal review and written official legal opinion. And I have 5 copies here. I don't know who to give them to.
You can give them to me.
Okay, you can give them to whomever you would like to. So as a resident, the state of Tennessee, from the Office of Attorney General, dated August 24, 2004, opinion number 04137, titled Extraterritorial Spot Zoning Under Growth Plan. So I'm addressing the 2040 growth plan, and I first looked at the executive summary, and in the executive summary, in 2 places, it identifies that this is a growth plan, okay? For the growth and development regarding land use, zoning, utility capacity, construction, economic development, traffic management, recreation, capital building, provision of municipal services and facilities, housing, and community engagement. So this law that I have cited here was an opinion from the county, or excuse me, from the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee. That opinion, dated August 24, 2004, opinion number 04137. The question was, do cities have the authority to implement spot zoning outside the city's municipal boundaries, but within the city's urban growth boundaries? If the answer to question 1 is yes, is the county required to give its consent? In the majority opinion, As a general matter, courts have concluded that ordinances that adopt spot zoning, as courts interpret the term, are invalid because they do not bear a substantial relationship to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, and are out of harmony and in conflict with comprehensive zoning ordinance of a particular municipality. No city, therefore, may implement spot zoning, as Tennessee courts define the term, whether inside or outside the city boundaries. Further, the opinion states that this request does not define the term spot zoning, but courts have defined the spot zoning as the process of singling out a small parcel of land for use, clarification, totally different from that of the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner of such property and to the detriment of the other owners. I specifically request that you look at Fallon versus Knox County Board of Commissioners. That is a case that was decided back in, I believe, 1987, okay? And it states, zoning is properly known and understood, and spot zoning ordinances as properly identified are invalid in the general ground that they do not bear substantial relationship to public health, safety, morals, general welfare, and are out of the harmony and in conflict with comprehensive zoning ordinance of particular municipalities. No city, therefore, may implement spot zoning as Tennessee courts define that term, whether inside or outside of its boundaries. So I would like to have that entered into the record.
Mr. Grizz.
Additionally, I have one last comment, please.
I respectfully ask that you keep we've gone significantly over your 3 minutes, but could you finish shortly?
I'll donate my 3 minutes.
Excuse me.
You just,
He has 3.
Could you just wrap it up?
Yes, I can. Okay. The Tennessee Code Title 13, Public Planning and Housing. In that code, it stipulates that the director of planning for a city must be certified in municipal planning by the American Institute of Certified Planners. This is not a direct reflect on anybody personally, but the current director of city planning is not a certified, nor her credentials as a certified city planner. Therefore, all work that she has done to this date is invalid, okay, because she is not authorized to do that work by Tennessee code and Tennessee law. Also, as a resident of Tullahoma, I'm requesting that the mayor and the board and aldermen prohibit any further work to the city of Tullahoma. Think Tullahoma 2040 comprehensive plan until a legal written opinion is presented to the mayor, the board of aldermen, including the Tullahoma director of planning and the Tullahoma city administrator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, would it be appropriate, since Mary's credentials were questioned, that she be allowed to address that comment?
Ms. Sandy Yogi, your name has been called. Do you have an opportunity to respond?
I believe it's the board member's name that's been called.
But still, there's exemption.
Yeah, okay.
As long as I get it back, so I can copy it down.
Mary Samaniego, Planning Director. You want me to review my credentials?
I recall that you have an AICP certification.
No, I no longer, I had an AICP certification. So I have a master's degree in small-town planning from Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. I've been a regional and small-town planner for 25 years. I believe like the 3rd or 4th year of my career, I received AICP accreditation, which is an elective accreditation. You don't have to be a certified planner to be a professional planner. It's not like an engineer where you have to have a license to practice. So the American Planning Association has a program where you can become a certified planner. You have to study, you take a test. I passed that test and was a certified planner for many years. Unfortunately, in 2007, the recession hit and I was laid off. And I was unemployed for almost a year. And I was in such financial straits, I could no longer keep up my American Planning Association membership, and I lost my American AICP certification. I've not applied to regain that certification. So on point, I was an AICP planner. I currently do not have that certification. I don't believe it was required as part of this job, nor has it ever been required as any job I've ever held.
When did you lose that? What year did you say?
Whenever the recession was, 06, 07.
7 and 8. Okay, thank you for your clarification. Any other comments from citizens? State your name and address, please.
Mr. Mayor and Aldermen, my name is John Miller. I reside at 109 Troon Way. I've been a resident of Tullahoma for 21 years. I participated in our city government as a past member of the Airport Authority for 10 years, with 8 years as its chairman, during which time we built the new terminal building, fixed deteriorating infrastructure, and developed the industrial park on the airport, working closely with city employees, several of whom are in here tonight, and this board on multiple occasions to gain approval and funding for those projects. I understand how city government works. I'd like to first say that what I witnessed, the events that took place at the last board meeting on August the 8th, and sometimes tonight, never before have I been so embarrassed by the conduct of this board in a public forum. That meeting was a total embarrassment to our city and to our residents. I hope that this newly constituted board will act professionally, with civility towards each other, and obviously in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. Since that meeting, I attended part of the Think Tullahoma Plan 2040 meeting on Saturday at the D.W. Wilson Center. I'd like to provide some observations to this board to consider as this plan moves forward, whenever that may happen. Several citizens came well prepared to ask specific questions regarding the plan, as they had apparently attended the previous day's session. Not all of their questions were answered, so I would hope that the Planning Commission will get back to them with answers, and I suggest that the questions raised during these open forum meetings be answered in the public comments sections of the 2040 web plan page, and specifically identify them as questions that were answered and asked and answered during these open forum meetings. You can't figure out today who and when someone asked the question on the website. Mr. Perez, who you just heard, is a resident of the Emerald Acres subdivision. He was present at Saturday's meeting also. And he raised the question about why a physical impact analysis had not been done before the board was presented the plan. At the University of New Hampshire has a concise summary of why this analysis is critical for new development. I have a copy printed out for each of you tonight, and I'll provide a copy for all of you at the board, and I'll hand them to Sue. No better person to talk about physical analysis, right, Sue? Under the proposed 2040 plan, a significant portion of land in our city would be developed for residential and commercial use. If this plan comes to fruition, a host of new costs will be incurred by our city government in order to provide additional services and infrastructure for that development. Such services include expansion of schools, expansion of fire protection, policing, and emergency services, just to name a few. A variety of infrastructure costs will also be incurred, such as water, sewer, and roads. It's vital that municipalities determine whether or not the flow of new property tax revenue generated by such a plan will balance out the costs of the plan. A physical impact analysis of the proposed plan has not been done, and this board should not approve any plan coming forward unless that is included in it. Appendixes A and E of the current plan proposal do not fit this physical analysis. There was discussion at the meeting on time phasing of the plan development. The plan does not mention any of this phasing over a time period, yet we were told at that meeting that the Planning Commission was going to control the timing of phased development through their normal approval process. I would suggest that without time phasing being identified in the plan, the city will be set up for a lawsuit by a developer who buys one of the identified properties intending to start development because he now has the funding to start it. But then he's told by the Planning Commission, you can't start this year because you're not in our timeline. We don't want that. Finally, one citizen did come to the meeting, but not to address the 2024 plan. He came to try and get resolution on a rezoning issue made to his property and his residents without his knowledge. Because this issue was not being addressed to him in a timely manner, his current living space is rapidly deteriorating, and he can't replace it with like kind. He was visibly upset and has apparently been so for some time because he saw no resolution. I would suggest to this board that someone outside of the Planning and Codes Department look into the treatment of this citizen. It just didn't look right to me. Thank you for your time. I look forward to this board acting more professionally, being more civil to each other, and always acting on the behalf of our citizens and not special interest groups whose agendas may not be in the best interest of our city. And that includes citizen appointments to various boards who may have potential conflicts of interest in their closet. Thank you.
Thank you. Your comments are well taken.
Can I make a comment about that? No?
Let's get comments from the citizens and you'll get your opportunity. Any more comments from the citizens?
Alderman comments.
Mayor, before she comes, I'd like the motion to suspend the rules since we are not enforcing the time limits anyway. That way. And just I'd like to suspend the motion to suspend the rules since we're not enforcing it anyway, and just allow them the time that they need to be fair to everybody.
Any objection?
What rules are?
Without objection.
Of letting them, you're saying let them speak on there.
Yeah, we're not.
Wait a minute, did you say all of the policy and procedure?
No, the time limit.
Time limit. I was like, what?
Without objection. Name and address.
I'm Kathy Manis, and I live at 123 Autumn Lane. Hello, Mayor Noes, board members, and fellow neighbors. It's an interesting thing that as people, we don't get involved in or care much about things that don't directly affect us or those that are close to us. On a usual Monday night board meeting, you won't see many people here. Either we haven't felt that things being decided affect us directly, or we just haven't paid enough attention. In the past month, this room has been overflowing. As a resident of Tullahoma, I'm guilty of not knowing what's going on in these board meetings and the decisions being made that affect our community. Sadly, I've allowed Tullahoma to be where it is, good and not so. We are all here tonight because the decisions that this board makes will affect our wonderful community. In the committees that assist our Board of Mayor and Aldermen, it is important to have the right people representing the citizens of Tullahoma with no bias and nothing personal to gain from being on the committee. Simply there to serve us in making the best decision possible with the most accurate information given and listening to how we, as citizens of this community, think and feel. It is critical that these committees are held accountable to the board and the citizens of our community. As Mayor Noes stated in an interview prior to becoming elected, as the city evolves, I will ensure that we retain our traditional small-town values and the quality of life environment that all prospective residents seek. I'm asking that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and all those that hold committee positions, please keep this in the forefront of all the decisions that are made as an elected official for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mathis. Anyone else? Any further public comments? Name and address, please.
Maureen Burke, 107 Breckenridge Road. And I'm putting on my different hat. The sports hat is on right now. So I just became aware through Mr. Anderson about the item on the agenda tonight that has to do with approving the application for a grant for a new recreation facility, including playgrounds and tennis courts. I'm representing Tullahoma Tennis Association, and after speaking with him, and I have a longer thing prepared, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I just want to say quickly that I would like to urge the board to go ahead and approve the application with the condition that we make sure that in the plan that we make room for 2 additional tennis courts. So I'll be speaking with you more later. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from citizens? Name and address.
Yeah, Mike Barnes, 901 12 Oaks, and I'd like to make the request if I could give my 3 minutes to John so he could finish the rest of his comments. Is that acceptable?
Acceptable.
Thank you. I would like to address the previous comment that I made in reference to the qualifications for the Director of City Planning. I didn't read it word for word because of time, so I will take that moment just to do that. So within that code, it says an existing provision relating to appointment of a planning director contained in any municipal, city, or town charter or private act must be used in appointing a planning director. In the absence of such a provision, the chief executive officer of the municipality shall have the power to appoint and fix the compensation within the funds appropriated by the legislative body for this purpose. A planning director and that person responsible for appointing that in the absence is the mayor of Tullahoma as the chief executive officer. The planning director who shall be qualified by membership in the American Institute of Certified Planners, comma, experienced in a related academic field. Any person serving as a planning director as of March 31st, 2010 shall not be required to meet the aforementioned qualifications. So the qualification date was 2010. And with all due respect to both the city planner, director, and the city administrator, I find that the board was in violation of state law when they hired, approved, and promoted an individual within the city to the position of planning director without first looking at case law and looking at whether or not that person is qualified to act as a city planner. So under that circumstance, any work that was done during that period of time when the director of planning is not accredited by the American Institute of City Planners is null and void.
Next. Anyone else? Any other comments from citizens? If there's no other comments from,
I just wanted
state your name and address.
I just wanted to put some positivity a little bit.
Name and address,
Scott
please.
Van Velser, Fairways Boulevard. I know a lot of you are here probably for the 2040 discussion that kind of sort of didn't happen. But I just want to make sure, since I have this opportunity, to put my support towards having a plan at all. Tullahoma is going to get steamrolled unless this city gets its act together and plans for the future. And that's going out to 2040. That's what I loved about the fact that the city had spent so much time and effort doing this. I've just been really impressed with how much work has gone into it so far, and it kind of sucks that some of us didn't pay attention and just learned about it at the end. But really, in my experience, that's the way it works with the cities, any city. Just people don't pay attention enough. And I know this affects maybe a few people's backyards. You know, maybe there's going to be some changing to the zoning ordinances that are going to increase density and actually provide affordable housing for people that live in Tullahoma. We actually need that. And you know, you want to talk about special interests. The land that you own is your special interest more than anything else. And, you know, keeping the value of everybody's land at the forefront of my mind and everybody else's mind in here, you really got to think bigger than whether there's an apartment complex on the drive to your house. You've got to think about the fact that when somebody looks at the city, that they have a good impression of it, and that they think that the city has a plan for the future. And otherwise, it's just going to, what will happen is it'll just be divide and conquer from actual special interests that'll come into town, and we won't have a comprehensive plan. So that's my comment tonight. I support the comprehensive plan. I know you guys have talked about killing it, burying it, Lazarus, all that stuff. I really hope that's not the case. I hope it's more just like adjusting, tweaking around the edges, making sure that everybody's aware of what's in the plan, what it's about, and how it all works. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Any other comments from citizens? If there's no other comments from citizens, we'll close it. We'll close that and move right along. At this time, we'll go into our reports from Aldermen. And with that, we have some new Aldermen. And with our new Aldermen, we always like to hear what you have in mind. Maybe not what you've done last week, but maybe what you hope to accomplish. So if you could just give us a little snapshot, we'll just start over with you, Ms. Wilson.
Hi, nice to see such a great turnout. I just really hope to be a bridge to the arts. I have a special interest there, and also with a bridge to our local businesses. And just look forward to serving the citizens of Tullahoma to the best of my ability, and to having a nice, smooth working relationship with everyone here.
Thank you very much. Another new face around the desk is Kurt Glick.
Well, kind of new. But I guess my goal is, and what I hope everybody's goal in here and every citizen is to try to make Tullahoma a better place to live. In short, that's my goal. What I'd like to do, though, is to thank everybody that voted for me in this election. Thank my family for supporting me, my wife and my mom, dad, and sister and brother-in-law. I'd like to thank all my friends, all my lifelong friends I've had that came to my support. And then I'd like to thank all the new friends that I met, and happy to meet more new friends every day. So that's a real positive thing that's coming out of all this.
Thank you. And with that, our old new Alderman, Alderman Mathis.
Old, huh? Those old guys. What I have witnessed as far as the agenda is that we get into this consent forms and things like that, and I look at them and I try to figure out where in the world did that come from. I have no idea how in the world that we're going to allocate that much funds for what's on there. That's what I think we need to sit down, and I think we need to look at this consent form and say, okay, let's take some time and do this right. Let's don't get in here and just say, all right, this is your consent, approve it and go out, and I'm not for that. I'm just for saying, okay, you've got a, what, $50,000 or $60,000 tractor to mow fields with? I don't see that. So that's where I am. I think we need to take the time to make sure that what we're doing is what's good for the citizens of this town.
Okay.
Okay.
And another candidate for this last election was Alderman Berry.
Yes, Mayor. I'm going to pull Jenna and just talk about what I want. First, thank you to Rupa, Cernobi, and Jimmy for being in the arena and being willing to put themselves out there. Congratulations to the incoming board members. You're in the arena now. Jerry, you know what it feels like.
I've been there.
You two will find out. Today should be a joyous occasion, but for me, it's not. There's no one who wants to be sitting in this seat less than I. For 3 years, I've faithfully, truly, and impartially performed my duties without fear, favor, or partiality to the best of my ability. But I have to be honest, for the time being, I will continue to perform those duties without fear, favor, partiality, but not out of desire, but rather a feeling of obligation. I raised my hand and took my oath, expecting you to do your part. I hope that you would take responsibility for your role in a free, democratic system of government. Voting is not a right, it is a responsibility. Over 70% of the residents here didn't even bother to take that first step. Being engaged, informed, and abreast of what is happening in your local government and in your city is not your right, it is your responsibility. It is your duty to be proactive in seeking out, understanding, and being involved in what is happening. You are responsible for respecting the rights, beliefs, and opinions of your fellow residents, even when you may disagree with them. To quote Teddy Roosevelt, the average citizen must be a good citizen if our republics are to succeed. He continues later to say, there is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort, which even if it fails, comes second to achievement. A cynical habit of thought and speech, a readiness to criticize work which the critic himself never tries to perform, an intellectual aloofness which will not accept contact with life's realities. All these are marks not, as the possessor would fain think, of superiority, but of weakness. They mark the men unfit to bear the part manfully in the stern strife of living, who seek in the affection of contempt for the achievements of others, to hide from others and from themselves their own weakness. The role is easy. There is none easier, save only the role of the man who sneers alike at both criticism and performance. These weak critics are speaking for the silent majority. The silent majority is sitting back, shirking their responsibility to participate in the process. Partisan politics hiding behind patriotism are tearing our city and our nation apart. George Washington warned, they serve to organize faction, to give an artificial and extraordinary force, to put in the place of the delegated will of the nation, the will of a party, often a small but artful and enterprising minority of the community, and according to the alternate triumphs of different parties, to make the public administration the mirror of the ill-concerted and incongruous projects of faction, rather than the organ of consistent and wholesome plans digested by common councils and modified by mutual interest. We've seen this time and again recently. In the past 3 meetings, we've sat up here while these weak critics and an alderman accuse us of illegal activity, smearing our character and questioning our integrity without fact, and for no other reason than to achieve the goals of their faction. This disrespect was allowed to continue because of a fear of the mob and vote counts. Not only was our chair silent, but our community, out of fear of drama, continued to allow it. We see this mob swaying important decisions that significantly impact our community. Things have gotten out of control when a pack of weak critics is allowed to dictate who you appoint to a board or commission. It is out of control when the interests of a small group are allowed to silence the voices of the rest of the community, but you are allowing it to happen. This slight minority has taken control while you sit silently. This is not why I raised my hand and swore an oath. If you are not willing to stand up for yourself, I am not either. If you do not care enough, then I do not either. But if you're ready to fight and take your community back from the ill-concerted and incongruous projects of these minor factions, then I'll stand by and I'll fight with you. But I will not fight a fight while you sit there silently on the side. We're at a crossroads, Tullahoma, and you need to decide which path we take next. And that is what I intend to do, Mayor, is to rally the troops against this ill-concerted effort.
Thank you, Alderman Berry. Alderman Almacher.
Wow. Hey, I was quiet while you did yours, and there were no eye rolling, so I did good. Congratulations to our new board. And I know that when you win some, you lose some. But you know what? There's nobody that has been attacked more or criticized more or had to be as transparent as possible in this town or on this board, and has sat through 3-hour meetings with people pointed fingers at me, and for once I point back one time and end up on the front page of the newspaper. Trust me, I understand. But the weak critics and those terrible mobs that you're talking about are the voters. And so you cannot in one hand say, do your part, stand up here and come to the forefront and be here. Look at this room tonight. They're doing what we've asked of them, and that's a beautiful thing. And I hate that it takes some controversy to create that, but you know what? We don't have apathy here tonight. And that is what's beautiful about our constitutional republic and this representative form of democracy. It is incumbent upon us to take the arrows while you have the right to be the silent majority, to protect your businesses, to protect your land, to protect your interests. That's why you elect me to speak for you, and I thank you. I thank you for that opportunity, and I'll be happy to take that arrow anytime you need it. As for partisan political speech, well, my dear, that's called First Amendment rights, and that's the highest form of protected speech. And while I disagree, I will support your right to have an opinion. Yes. And my opinion happens to differ, and I believe that it is incumbent upon me to be as transparent as possible with you. I am a constitutional conservative, and I will do whatever I can to leave this power in we the people and do what you have elected me to do, not what I choose to do. Thank you for your patriotism. Thank you for your willing to come here tonight and take a few arrows with me. And if you don't want to be here, there's the door.
Alderman Dunn.
Point of privilege, no report.
Yes. What's your point?
Point of privilege, may we take a 5-minute break, please, and thank you.
Yes, in fact, before we do that, we're not going to get through our meeting in accordance with our rules unless we have an amendment to dispense with our time limits on ending our board meeting. So I would entertain a motion to dispense with the time limit this evening.
I make a motion.
Motion. Second.
Sorry, who seconded it? Thank you.
Kurt. All in favor?
Real quick, in light of something that Jerry had said, we have a lot on this agenda that may require more study on money and budgets, and since we do have a full new board, maybe we just make it through what we can and leave those things out. Well, that was my objection to that. Maybe we just don't make it through and give them time.
Green for yes to extend our time to complete the agenda tonight.
Complete the agenda?
Complete the agenda. Vote yes to complete the agenda.
Green to complete.
I don't want to give that.
And that passes 4-3 to extend the time. With that, we'll take a 5-minute break. about finished with our reports from our aldermen, and at this point, we'll go to Alderman Dunn.
No report.
No report. No report. That comes down to the report from the mayor. I really want to thank our new alderman who attended the Tennessee Municipal League last week in Gatlinburg. We had 3 of our aldermen there, Alderman Glick and Almacher and Wilson were all there. And we kept bumping into each other around different meetings there. So thank you for attending that. It's a good way to get off to a good start. So that's where we all spent a fair amount of time last week. So that's my report. Now, moving into the action items for tonight. The first thing we had a very unusual situation for as you know, our rules for determining how many people served on the board for 4 seats. The one that got the third highest vote got 3 years, or 4 years, and the one that got the 4th highest vote got 2 years to get us on this section on the schedule where we are just having an election every 2 years. And the situation turned out with Alderman Berry and Alderman Wilson all got 1,528 votes. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion from anyone on the board as to how we might resolve that dilemma of who serves 4 years and who serves 2 years. Alderman Berry.
Mayor, I will voluntarily take the 2 years, so if that is legal, I will make a motion that I get a 2-year term and Bobby gets the 4-year term.
Second.
Without objection. Hearing no objection, it passes. No objection. 2 years, 4 years. Sure you don't want to challenge that? Okay, now the next thing on the agenda tonight is the election of Mayor Pro Tem, and at this time I would we have a ballot prepared that okay, Alderman Berry.
I'd like to nominate Jerry Mathis for Mayor Pro Tem. He has the most years and probably experience on the board, and I believe he's level-headed enough to do the job. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? Don't have to have a second for a nomination, but any other motion? Any other nomination? Hearing no other nomination, that will be you're elected by acclamation.
Thank you.
You don't even have to change your seat.
Imagine that.
You might not want to say that too quickly.
I'm not. I won't keep it quiet. Appreciate that very much.
Then we have one other bit of housekeeping to do is we have a board appointment to be the representative on the Planning Commission. With all the things on the Planning Commission, I know all of you want to serve on that. But at this time, I'll entertain a motion. Alderman Berry.
I would like to nominate Bobby Sue Wilson to sit on the Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion for Bobby Sue Wilson.
I would like to nominate Gina Armacher.
We have a motion. We have 2 nominees. Any other nominations? Just Alderman, City Court, prepare the ballot.
Vote on the one that chose.
Here we go.
There he is. Barry.
Alderman Glick voted for Almacher. Alderman Mathis voted for Almacher. Alderman Noes voted for Wilson. Mayor. Alderman Dunn voted for Wilson. Alderman Wilson voted for Almacher. Almacher voted for Almacher. And Berry voted for Wilson. So we have 3 for Wilson and 4 for Almacher.
Alderman Almacher, you'll be serving on the Planning Commission. Congratulations. Okay, with that, we'll go to the report from our city attorney. By the way, they meet on the 3rd Monday night.
In light of the long agenda for tonight, I'm going to defer and discuss next time some things that I intended to discuss tonight with the board. But first, I want to say that I did attend the Tennessee Municipal Attorneys Association seminar in conjunction with the Tennessee Municipal League Conference in Gatlinburg last weekend, and there were a number of topics of concern that we discussed there that I'd like to bring before this board for you to think about, and I think it's probably a little bit more than we wanted to think about tonight in light of the other things that we have on the agenda. I do want to tell the new board, though, that we'll be working on a new charter for the city of Tullahoma in the coming months. Our charter was, the second charter was adopted in 1903, and we think maybe it needs to be upgraded a little bit. Although it has been over the years, piecemeal, we think now that we ought to look at a brand new charter. The Municipal Technical Advisory Service is going to help us with that, and that's underway, but it's going to be a month or two before we get into it. We also have asked for, and we'll have for you, a legislative report regarding all of the litigation the city's involved in. I'll have Ms. Moody has given me some information for that. I'm going to be compiling that and talking with the attorneys that represent us, because we have insurance that provides counsel for us in a number of the matters that are in litigation right now. I'm also going to discuss with you next time, you think about this, ethics. I'm the ethics officer for the City of Tullahoma, the Code of Ordinance of the City of Tullahoma. I'm going to discuss that with you all. Also, conflicts of interest, because there are matters that may come up that might present a conflict of interest for you that you don't even realize. So I'll do that next time. But I do want to say one thing now, and I want to put this to bed for everybody, because I'm not sure everybody knows this. This comprehensive plan that we've been debating in Tullahoma for a couple of months now, even once and for all, is enacted by the Planning Commission. It comes before this board and is enacted again. It is an ordinance. It can be amended at any time, like any other ordinance that the city adopts. There is no law that requires that plan to keep on the books for any period of time, so that even if you adopt the plan, circumstances may change in this town, which would require us to look at that plan again and make an amendment to it. So it's never going to be cast in stone. So that might put that matter to rest. I think it's prudent to send it back to the Planning Commission because of all the concern that's arisen in our town about some of the prospects and provisions in it, but we should look at it like that. It's not a living document. I mean, it is a living document that can be changed from time to time. Also, Ms. Almacher hit on something that's very near and dear to me, and that's our First Amendment rights to say and speak anything we feel like saying and speaking. But let's remember that those rights must be tempered by good judgment, so that let's treat each other courteously when we do exercise those rights. There's a lot of, I don't do social media. My daughter suggested about 4 years ago that I get on Facebook, and I said, you do it for me. I was on there 2 weeks, and a friend of mine called me at 11 o'clock one night and said, you've been hacked, Steve. I called my daughter the next morning and said, get me off Facebook. I never want to get on it again. I think my son's dog was on Facebook. I don't know if that made any difference or not, but I'm not on it anymore, and I don't do any social media. I want to caution every one of you that when you speak on social media, now that you are elected official of the City of Tullahoma, anything you say may be attributed to the entire city, and it may be a very, very dangerous thing for you to do. So I'm going to ask you please to consider not mentioning any kind of city business of any kind whatsoever on social media. That ought to be done here in this boardroom or at forums that are appropriate for you all to address people on city issues. So I'm just going to caution you to please keep that in mind. Now, I'll keep these other things for the next meeting because you've got a lot of important things to discuss.
I have a question.
Welcome to all y'all, by the way.
I have a question, Steve.
Yes.
You were talking about the charter changes.
Right.
is that going to be deliberated by the board, or is the board going to be included on the front
Absolutely.
end all the way?
It'll be a series of work sessions that will go through the charter with the help of the NTAS people. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Attorney Worsham. Our City Administrator, Jennifer Moody.
Thank you. I will try to be brief. I do want to take this opportunity to thank all of our citizens. We had a tremendous turnout for Friday and Saturday for our 2040 plan public input meetings. And remind anyone that hasn't attended, we have 2 more this Friday from 1 to 4 at the D.W. Wilson Community Center, and Saturday 10 to 2 at D.W. Wilson. And then, of course, we're still taking comments by email or phone, or stop into the planning office anytime we're open. I have a few dates, and I know you may not be able to write all these down right now, so I will send a follow-up email, but I wanted just for the public to go ahead and mention some of these to you tonight. We are proposing for the joint meeting of the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to have a meeting Monday, September 19th at 6 p.m. at the Tullahoma High School Auditorium. We've confirmed Walker Collaborative consultants can be there. And that would follow the Planning Commission meeting that starts at 4:30. I'm working with TUA right now. I believe that Planning Commission meeting may also need to be held at the high school auditorium that night, so that we can make sure the sound quality is good and everything's recorded. Another date, Attorney Bob Burns is representing the city in the Dameron matter, and he has asked for tentatively for you to hold September 26th. That evening, we would typically meet prior to the board's regular meeting in executive session. September 29th, we are planning to graduate our inaugural class of the Tullahoma Citizens Academy, and so I want to make sure that you get that evening on your calendar. There will be a reception that night, and then also we're hoping you will speak to that class of citizens about your role in city government. And then, last thing, October 3rd, Ms. Patricia Junkin has agreed to hold a parliamentary procedures training on October 3rd with all the new board members. I don't know if we'll have enough time on the back of that training to also discuss board policies and procedures, but that may be something you want to do that night, or have me schedule for a follow-up after the training on Robert's rules. Okay, thank you. That's my report tonight.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move into new business. And the new business items have been reduced. Item number 10.
Consent
agenda. I believe we do have a consent agenda, okay. And with that, we go to the consent agenda. And hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'll send an email.
Barry?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
And a second. Alderman Dunn. Any discussion?
There's no discussion.
Vote yes for approval, and Greenford, no.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
You're going to have to look under the hood.
Mayor, just in case, just to make sure that everybody does know, this will approve all those items in there. We're not approving what's on it. We're actually voting yes or no to all of these items at one time. Yes.
Vote green for yes for approving the consent agenda.
There we go. Yes to what?
Yes. Voting yes to approve the consent agenda.
Red.
Yes to the tractor or no to the tractor, Jerry?
Don't you start.
There's more than a tractor.
And it is working now, sorry. So,
The Consent agenda fails.
So everything.
4-3.
The whole thing fails? All of them?
Would those each, point of order question. So would each of those items now have to be individually reconsidered?
Not reconsidered. If you wanted to vote on each one, they would have to be reintroduced because you didn't.
So they can all, that doesn't count as
yeah,
in the same legislative session, they can still be introduced?
Usually it's only the things that no one would object to
Yeah.
instead of the whole thing. So I'm a little bit concerned about where you are with this and the agreement on accepting a consent agenda.
We don't accept the consent agenda. These items.
We should have pulled those items out.
Yeah, we don't have enough time tonight, so.
So I guess
So we
for
can't
clarification, my
apply for this
question is,
So we can't apply for this grant anymore.
That would have to-
We can't get the police cars.
Should have never been on the consent agenda. That's the message we're sending.
okay, we're there, but my question is, how do we get these items back on the agenda? Does that count as failing?
Just come back at the next time with these.
So it's not like a standard fail where it has to be reconsidered?
It's not a standard fail.
I'm
It can be-
asking the parliamentarian.
I understand there's a citizen that's concerned. I wanted to clarify for the citizen. I apologize.
For my clarification, it's not a standard fail. It can be brought back?
They can all be brought back.
Okay.
Okay, the consent agenda fails as presented. As amended. We'll go into new business. Item number 11 and 12 under new business has already been removed. Item number 13 is to consider the approval of a request for the city to designate as surplus property. It's a sale. It's on 923 and 925 Maplewood Avenue. Get a motion. Motion to approve by Barry. Say a second.
I have a question on that.
We need to get a second first. We need a second, and then we can discuss.
A second.
Second from John. Okay, discussion.
The question I have is, as I was reading that item, and it sounded like that we received that property, and we got it because the guy wasn't keeping up with his property and had a dilapidated house. We filed liens on him and got the property as a settlement in court. Is that correct?
We have, our city administrator can address that, or our attorney can address that.
You're correct, Mr. Glick. This is property that was in deteriorating condition. The owners had moved to another state. We contacted them because there were liens against the property due to their failure to have mowed the grass and that sort of thing. And they agreed to donate the property to the city if we would agree to drop the liens and things like that. So we did that and assumed the taxes for that property so that now it's available to be developed in some way, either via sale or something the city might want to do to use it or whatever. But it was a matter of litigation that was settled in that way.
So then it further went on. It sounded like that then we held on to it for another year, and we didn't do any better than the property owner that we took it from and taking care of it. Is that correct? Or?
I have no idea what condition it's in now. I did look at it during the time that we were discussing settlement with the owner.
It had to be torn down. I mean, if we're going to, seems like to me, if we're going to take property from somebody for whatever reasons, we ought to do what we're asking them to do.
I concur. It seems unfair. It seems as if we, the government, are holding people to a different standard than we ourselves as the city are being held to, and that is inappropriate. I concur.
Do you have any other information about the plans for the property, Ms. Moody?
What I would share is that we also had a request from that owner, as I understand it, that they did not want to see the property sold by public auction, that they wanted us to give some consideration to who would receive it. And this is the one that we have been working together, the city attorney and I, for the proper way to see it donated to Habitat for Humanity. And so they have tentatively agreed to a timeline. If it were donated to them, they said they would accept, and within, I believe, do you remember, 6 months, they would have the property cleaned up, the building demolished, and ready as a building site for a new home. So that's not 6 months for a new home, but 6 months for it to be demolished and kept in a mowable, manageable state.
Any other comments about the motion? We're green to approve and red for disapprove. Motion is approved 6-1. Item number 22-133. Consider the approval of a request of the city to designate as surplus real property an area of 50 feet wide by 120 feet in length or 6,000 square feet inside an unimproved right-of-way adjacent to 324 and 326 Druid Lane. Motion? Motion from Barry.
Second.
Second from Gillette. In discussion, and we've got the background on that from Ms. Moody.
This is an applicant that's requesting the city surplus the entire unimproved 50-foot right-of-way between 324 and 326 Druid Lane. The applicant is hoping to add an area of 25 feet width to each adjoining lot to facilitate further building potential.
No further discussion. Vote green for approval, red for disapproval.
Can I ask a question about that particular property? Is that, is Druid Lane on septic?
No.
Okay.
No. Any other discussion? Green for approval, red for disapproval. And that passes 7-0. Okay, with that, we're back to the items that we have moved, the new items that we've added to the agenda. And the first one on the agenda was motion to reconsider the approval of the Tullahoma 2040 plan. Just strictly yes or no?
No, that.
I think it's the special rules one was the first.
The first one is the special rules. That should be the first in order to.
Is that the first?
1584.
Yeah. 1584.
1584 is the first one. Special rules.
Yes. I make a motion to postpone and add this item to a future study session. The point of this, the motion is to add this to a future study session and allow this board to make the rules that will expire upon the end of our term in 2 years, or until there's another new board that is created. So I make a motion to postpone to adopt new rules in a study session that will then come back to the board.
Second.
You got a second from Barry? Any question on what we're doing here with the special rules? Motion is to postpone.
Yes.
To a study session.
Postpone to a study session.
And I'm fine with it going in there with, when we talk about parliamentary procedure, we can discuss the rules then. It's perfectly fine with me.
Okay. We'll include.
Yes, I will review that. I'm fine, but yes, I got the idea.
Green to approve, red for no.
My apologies.
All right.
That passes 7-0. Next is ordinance number 1585. Excuse me. That was 1585. Now we're back to the 2040 plan.
TUA.
TUA 22.
TUA appointment of which we appointed Jimmy Blanks, and there's still some questions about that.
It was added back to the agenda, and the motion was to consider an appointment, considering that the other one was null he failed to meet the criteria as a citizen. Okay, vote for the board to declare it null.
I'd like to address that as I did before. Yes, if I might. I'd like to do the research based upon the information that we received tonight before we have another vote on this, so that I can inform the voters what I believe my opinion would be about that, if I could.
Well, I'd like to make a motion then to postpone it until the city attorney could research the proper way, but with instructions that that seat not be taken, not be filled until the city attorney finishes his investigation.
And I can have that information, by the way, by the next meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Barry seconded.
Barry seconded.
He's fast raising his hand.
Mathis. Mathis second.
What? Who seconded it?
It was Matt.
Both of us.
That way it's a visual.
Yeah.
Okay. Lick paper.
Green to postpone with special instructions. Green for yes, red for no.
What now? Hold it.
Green to postpone.
Green to postpone until the city.
I got you.
Yeah.
Do we do it again?
7-0.
7-0.
Okay, now we've got a motion to adopt the Tullahoma 2040 plan.
There you go.
Now we need a motion to adopt the Tullahoma 2040 plan.
I'm
Make a
going
motion.
to make the motions for discussion purposes. We can amend.
Need a second. That motion dies for lack of a second.
I second it. I second it. Good. Sorry. I was raising my hand this time.
Okay. Have to raise it louder.
Okay, so may I?
Okay, now we can discuss. Yes.
Okay, so resurrecting the demon here. So the reason I did so is because I did feel it was error for us to do what we did at the previous meeting. And, you know, motion to reconsider, a motion to postpone. It just was messy. So I would like to put this back in the position that it was in before the prior meeting with a few instructions going forward. So I would like to make a motion to postpone the vote on the 2040 plan until the collaborative board study session is had as a town hall with Q&A from the citizens, and also until we can get an Attorney General's opinion on the ramifications and legal binding as it relates to our zoning plat, and with instructions to our city staff that they are not to use the 2040 plan as an advisory piece for any purpose going forward until the full board has approved it or sent it back to the Planning Commission. So it will be in limbo. It's a motion to postpone.
Did you get all that?
We'll get that in the minutes after we review the recording of this session.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Second.
We do have a second.
I have discussion. So, postponing until it's been to the Planning Commission, I understand the need to hear, which is why we're having those sessions. But this board cannot amend that plan. So, no matter what happens after all those meetings, the exact same plan that we're looking at today with no amendments is what we're going to be voting on again. So it doesn't I'm having a difficult time understanding why we don't just go ahead as a board and say, we understand that this is not the plan that you want. We know that you don't want this plan, and we don't want it either. So just vote it down. The third item in the instruction is Director Samaniego just came up here and told the board that the planning staff will not be using the 2040 plan, because we did get an opinion from MTAS saying we can't use so I mean, unless we just want to re-instruct, but so I guess that's where I'm at.
May I make a clarification and amendment?
That's where I'm at, is let's just go ahead and do what we've already done and say, no.
I agree with you.
Alderman.
I would like to be more specific and the legal ramifications. That is actually one of the questions I want answered, because I disagree that this board, since it is a comprehensive plan that involves things outside of just zoning and growth, that this board has the authority to amend the plan. I want something in writing from the Attorney General's office to that effect, what we can and we can't do with it before we send it anywhere. Because I'm not sure that I'm comfortable passing any plan that we can't amend, ever. So I would like an Attorney General's opinion on the ramifications and legal binding as it relates to, can we amend it or not, and to the growth and zoning plan. So I want the Attorney General to tell us what we can and cannot do with this and how it will affect us going forward. Yes. Well, I was being more specific to the legal ramifications I'm asking for clarification on.
Attorney Worsham, can this be done in what kind of time frame could we expect to do this, Ben?
I can't comment on how long it would take the Attorney General to respond to this, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. I wish I could. We could ask them to expedite it, but I have no idea.
It is in Tennessee code annotated, though, how this works. A quick rebuttal to, we don't have to worry about the legal ramifications if we just go ahead and say, no. All that's moot. And then if we want to further still go seek an Attorney General's opinion, just to seek an Attorney General's opinion, none of it matters. It's a moot point if we just say no.
I have a
Mayor.
Bobby.
Excuse me. I'm done.
If I understood Mr. Worsham a few moments ago, he said once it becomes an ordinance, at that point, we can amend it. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, it is.
So right now, because we are waiting for the Planning Commission, yes, sir?
I said it can be amended. I didn't say we could amend it. There is a process the Tennessee Code annotated prescribes as to how it can be amended.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes. But it can be amended so that even once we adopt it, once we have a plan that is amenable to us and agreeable to us, and we adopt it, it becomes the plan. But it can be amended at any time thereafter following the procedure, which involves the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay, so both.
Yes.
Both would have to
Yes.
be. And I just have to say, I am extremely concerned with the timeline that might come up by requiring an Attorney General's opinion on this.
Alderman Wilson.
I have read there are other cities that are actually in litigation right now over the questions that Alderman Almacher just brought up about that are awaiting. I think it's probably important to get an Attorney General opinion. I would hate to see our city do something that we'll all regret, because I think that we should wait for an opinion.
Since we hold the purse strings to the city, I do think it's incumbent upon us to be the ones to suggest the amendments, even if the Planning Commission has to be the one to pass them. That's why I think it needs to remain in the hands of this board.
And there's nothing in this amendment that keeps us from continuing with the meetings that we have scheduled.
Yes, sir.
That would still go on.
Yes.
And we can initiate the action to get, if you put that in your motion, to get an Attorney General's opinion. When we get it, we'll have it.
Yes, sir.
And that could be sooner rather than later. That's all.
I think just for clarification purposes, this motion that Alderman Amacher made is just kind of taking it back to the original contract that the board made with the citizens when we said we'd postpone it, have the meetings, except for adding the Attorney General's opinion to this one. So it's just taking it back to that point is the way I understand it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We just want to make sure we know what we're signing off on, if we approve or don't approve it, what those ramifications might be.
Okay, your motion is to postpone action on it, sending it back for discussion with the Planning Commission and the Alderman Collaborative, and getting town hall meetings in, and get an attorney's opinion in that as quickly as possible.
And do not use it as an advisory plan. There's 3 parts to it.
Staff can't use, which they weren't going to.
So at this time, we're...
May I clarify? I'm just making sure I understand this as well. So the only change to what happened last week is to bring in an Attorney General. Is that correct?
Not what happened last week. What happened...
Excuse me, 2 weeks
ago. The previous meeting, previous to last week, when the board voted to postpone voting on the meeting.
The 25th?
The first vote was the vote...
I was actually addressing the mayor, because...
I'm addressing you. You asked the question.
Mr. Glick, I'm trying to follow procedures, and I'm supposed to address the mayor. Correct. Please. So I was addressing the mayor.
As I understand it.
Discussion is with the full board, not just the mayor.
As I understand it, the motion on the floor is simply to take the resolution that we had to postpone the vote on this 2040 plan, sending it back to the Planning Commission with subsequent town hall meetings. We've got 4 scheduled, and subsequent to that, a joint session of the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The thing that we're adding to that is simply to get an Attorney General's opinion.
Yeah.
With that, I cannot support that. So I will be...
Yeah, I would again just like to...
on that.
I know that I would think that everybody would feel more comfortable if we just said, we know we don't want this plan. We know that it needs amended. So just kill it. And then we can separately, we can say, let's order, the attorney. We can still do those things. We can still kill the plan that we all know, everybody in this room knows, that we don't want this plan. We all know this. There's no legal ramifications for killing it. There's nothing that we're going to be held liable or accountable or we can be sued for if we say no. There's still the opportunity for us to come back and say, Mr. Attorney Worsham, we would like for you to reach out to the Attorney General and get some clarification on the amendment process for this plan. But I don't see just continuing to, and we've met our contract with the public by having these, we actually exceeded, we've added 4 meetings instead of just that 1 group town hall. So we're still doing everything, and we're killing the plan as stated, and it's done. And we're going to have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission where this board can have the opportunity, for the first time I think ever in history of this city, where these boards are all, we're going to be able to sit there at the Planning Commission and say, we know we don't control you, but don't send us back a plan. If you send us back a plan that doesn't have X, Y, and Z, we're going to vote it down too. And so my thought is I am going to vote no to postponing because I'd like to come it back up after we vote no to the amendment to postpone and just vote it down and be done with that and then add an item to the agenda. It'll take 2/3 majority at this point to ask Mr. Worsham to reach out to the Attorney General. And then I think that at that point we have achieved everything and we don't have a plan that we don't want sitting on the table.
So, it's not whether or not we kill it, it's the method by which it dies. So, in its resurrecting, I want this board to be the one to control what goes back into it and the considerations that are made. When we do kill it, for lack of a better term, and we send it back to the Planning Commission, I want this board to be the one that says, here's what we want changed. Because we are the elected body who represents these citizens. We do not need to send this back and ask the Planning Commission, hey, what do y'all think we should change? This board needs to determine the changes, whether or not we can make them. And if we can't, we need to send it back when we kill it then to the Planning Commission with, hey, look at X, Y, and Z, that's what we want you to work on, and then send it back to us. Keep the authority with the elected body that's sitting up here.
One real quick rebut is this board, we say no, it's dead. And then on September 19th, we will be sitting looking at these planning commissioners and we can say, if this plan does not have X, Y, Z, we are going to kick it back to. So before you bring it back to us, before you recommend a plan, it better have this. We are the ultimate authority, no matter what happens here. They don't have to do it. They can keep sending us stuff and we can keep kicking it back. But I think that after we sit and talk, and so
Or can we amend it? That's what I want to know from the Attorney General.
So we kill it and bring it back later.
I call the question, Mayor.
That's the person of the joint session.
Okay. If you have a question, you have to ask and get the 2/3 to call the question and then go back.
Question has been called. Takes a 2/3 majority to
end discussion.
To end discussion.
Or do you want to keep
Okay, question now is on the question now is calling the question on ending discussion.
I was not finished. I wasn't finished, but.
I'm sorry.
I was not finished.
The question has been called, so you have to take the vote, I'm assuming.
Whether you will call the question.
The vote now is whether to call the question or not.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry, what?
The vote is to call the question to end
It's whether
discussion.
to call the question to end discussion. It's whether to end discussion or not.
This is just to end discussion.
End discussion, yes or no?
This is a vote to end discussion.
That's it, ending discussion.
Yes.
It's not to kill the plan, it's to end discussion.
Vote red to end, vote red to, excuse me, vote green to end discussion, vote red to continue discussion. Is everybody clear on that? Green to end discussion, red to continue discussion.
And is...
2/3.
Yeah.
Yes, 2/3.
We've got a 2/3 majority to
Now the question is the
end
motion to
discussion.
postpone.
Now the question is to
I thought you amended, I'm sorry. I thought it was in your amendment. I thought you amended it.
Red.
No, she just called the
Notice
question.
and done.
Yeah.
No, prior to that, she.
Well, I gave more clarification on the ramifications, but it's not necessarily an amendment, but now is the motion to postpone with the directions stated.
Question's been called and voted 5-3.
Can I ask for clarification on what, so if we vote green to postpone, it lives on. If we vote red, then it's not postponed, it will immediately take up the question of it, and at that time, if we choose, we can kill the plan, correct?
Red kills the plan, green postpones it.
Okay.
Now, just to be clear, is green postponing it
Yes.
is doing the
Green
same
postpone.
thing that was originally decided by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that everybody seemed to be happy with. And then they weren't happy with it when they killed it. So Green says, going back to the original thing when the board voted on it and postponed it.
Yes, this is what the citizens have asked for.
Plus added
Yes.
a couple other caveats.
Yes.
And red says, we don't like the plan.
Red kills it, green keeps it alive.
Green does what the citizens asked for.
That is not true. They don't want the plan.
So it does not pass.
So now,
The motion to postpone does not pass.
so now we vote to either accept or deny, correct?
You can make that motion.
Oh, or it's just dead.
It goes back.
It's dead.
All right.
No, the motion to postpone is dead.
Yeah.
We still have to vote on the
But
original.
not the original.
So red would kill, green would pass.
Green would pass killing it at this point because her motion to postpone is no longer there.
Hang on, I'm confused, because what I don't want to do, I don't want to pass this, and I want to make sure that I'm not.
We need to kill it then.
Yeah, so what color is? Green kills
How
it.
hard is that?
That seems backwards, though.
We need a, your motion failed.
To postpone.
To postpone, failed.
But the original motion was to adopt.
The board last 2 weeks ago was to kill it.
But I think if I may,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Where we are at this point in time is that Alderman Armacher put it back on the agenda, and when we came to that point that you announced that, then she moved to postpone the consideration with all the caveats. You called the question, you went directly to the vote on her motion to postpone only.
Correct.
And that failed. So you are now back to
We need to keep the authority with this board.
Well, I know, but if we kill that plan,
if you pass
and it comes back, it's going to come back to us. It's in our hands to do what needs to be done.
But the thing is now, is if you vote to pass it, then it's approved.
We are not voting.
I know, that's what this vote would be, right? So what's the motion we're voting on? Does anybody?
No, you've done it.
So we don't have to do anything else and it's dead?
No.
The motion's not failed.
That's what I'm asking.
Postpone failed, so if you want to kill it, then it comes back to this board to decide whether they want to make a motion.
Unless somebody makes a different motion to postpone.
Hang on. Let's reverse here. She made a motion to put item number 15, whatever, back on the agenda, which is consideration of adoption of ordinance XXX. So that motion was made and seconded. Then there was an amendment to that, or not an amendment, but a vote to postpone. That failed. So we're back to the main motion, which is to adopt ordinance. So green would pass, red is no.
Correct.
Okay.
What if we make a motion to postpone again?
You can't. Once it's failed, it's failed.
Under different circumstances?
It would have to come back in a substantially different motion.
Call the question. Mayor, point of order, call the question.
Okay.
We're going to call the question, vote on the original.
I'm not ready to call the question.
Well, she wasn't either, but we did.
I'm not ready.
So, but you've had it, once it's done, once you recognize, then you have to go to the board to say those 2/3 to call the question.
We need an Attorney General's opinion, guys.
So right after this, I will make a motion to amend the agenda that will need a 2/3 majority vote, right, to us to ask our attorney to seek an Attorney General's opinion. And everybody's happy, right? Everything's achieved. I don't understand. This is just, to me, this feels like a nanny boo-boo.
Well, that's what I think the citizens felt like on the last time this happened.
They wanted it dead and we killed it.
Happened on the 25th.
That's what I don't understand. The community wants it dead.
Yes.
And we kill it, and we don't want it dead anymore. We want to put it back on.
The community wants
You're the one
it
who
to
brought
be
it back
looked
up,
at
though.
further before we pass it. for them to have input on it. So we want to keep the authority with this board.
Okay, so we don't have authority, no matter what, you're not an attorney, we do not have the authority to amend that.
That is, I'm not an attorney, which is why I've asked for the Attorney General's opinion.
Okay, please, let's have some order. And you have called a question on the original motion.
Yes.
And that was to approve the 2040 plan.
I'm calling the question, so we
Call the
need,
question means
Stop discussion.
Just call the
I want to
question
send
means
it back
stop
with
discussion.
instructions then.
Stop discussion.
let's get through this and then we'll amend it.
Stop discussion.
Agreeing to stop discussion and call the question.
Let's just.
Agreeing to call the question.
Kill the thing.
Stop
Stop the question. One more vote. We're stopping this.
Red, we keep talking about it.
Yep.
So,
4, 3.
We call the question. State your motion.
thought I had 2/3.
Go directly to the approval of the adoption of the support of whatever for that.
Yeah, green approves the plan, red denies the plan. Don't.
Red kills it.
Red kills it.
Okay.
Hold on, don't move. Lois.
How hard is that?
Can I make a motion to amend?
We're voting on this. We have a motion on the floor. Second.
Yes. 4 yeses. Lois, Dunn,
But I have not voted.
Mathis.
That's on your.
And Barry.
That's on the call the question.
I'm still writing it down. Wilson, Glick, and Amacher. I had to write it down for my notes. Call the question. That has been voted on.
Okay, now then, your motion.
You've already made the motion.
I've already made the motion, so red kills, green approves. Red kills. Red kills.
Jack vote.
And this is the motion to adopt 24 plan.
How about that?
Red kills it.
Mayor,
Die.
I would like to add an item to the agenda, a motion to ask our city attorney to seek an attorney general's opinion on the, stop me if I'm wrong, on the process on how the plan is amended, to confirm TCA code on the process and how it's amended.
Just bring that up on your new business without amending the agenda.
We just,
It can take a 2/3 majority vote to amend the agenda after that.
We have to add it to the agenda. It takes a 2/3 majority.
Can you not bring it up under new business? I mean,
we're in business.
Seek attorney.
This is other new business. Yeah.
But you have to have but we had to approve.
under new business. But you're under new business.
We can't hear that out here.
They'll go ahead and choose if they want.
I think we need to call this off and go home.
Okay. You made the motion to add it to the agenda. To add something to the agenda without it being previously announced, it takes a 2/3 majority.
Correct.
And that's 5 votes.
And that is to instruct the city attorney to seek guidance from the Attorney General's office on the process by which a plan is amended. Is that right?
And any legal ramifications of passing this plan.
I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Second from Mathis. Any discussions on the motion?
Now you're just
Putting it on the agenda.
Now it's just to add this item to the agenda. It takes a 2/3 majority. It takes 5 votes to add it to the agenda. For green to add and red for not to add.
Has everyone voted?
Yep.
That's how you know. All right, one more time. There we go. Beautiful.
And that passes 7-0.
Okay, now it's on.
Now we have it on the agenda. Your motion.
Again, one more.
Can you read that motion back to me? A motion to instruct the city attorney to reach out to the Attorney General's office to get clarification on the process for amending our growth plan according to TCA, and separately, any legal ramifications that come with adopting said plan. That's a pretty broad question.
Can you add in there to make
He
sure
already had,
that he gives an opinion on what kind of plan it is? Because I've heard.
Growth, comprehensive, what is
So whether
this?
it's a
Yeah.
growth plan,
Can we
it's a
not submit
comprehensive
even up
plan,
questions to the city?
There we go.
You have a question?
I like what she said.
Yeah. Oh, I was asking if you wanted to ask the Attorney General also clarification on, to be definitive on what kind of plan it is. Is it a growth plan? Is it a comprehensive plan? I've heard a lot of discussion and concern about what it actually is. So I think that would be another thing important going forward, what the plan actually is.
Right.
Because I think there's different legal ramifications, if I'm correct, on a growth plan or a comprehensive plan or.
I understand what you're saying. We can do that. We can ask for what type plan we are actually considering, sure, as well as the other.
So the board can propose questions to the attorney to submit to the Attorney General.
Is that acceptable?
By a given date, please.
So that as board members, we could submit to you the questions.
Like the legal ramifications?
Sure, yeah, if you want to, of course, yeah, if you'd like to do that.
Okay, great.
We need a second.
I'll second.
Do we have a second? We have a second?
One
Any
quick
further
question.
discussion?
One quick question for the attorney. What if the Attorney General says no? Does he do that? Does he say, this isn't worth my time to answer?
Having looked at this statute and read it and bowled over it and whatever, discussed it with my colleagues in my law firm, I don't think he's going to say no. I think that's kind of a moot question. I think he's going to say, yes, it can be amended. The issue is, how can it be amended? Can the Board of Mayor and Aldermen take part in the amendment? Would they initiate it? Would the Plan Commission initiate it? And how would it be approved in the long run? Plus, the other thing is that you all want to have clarified is what type plan it is. There are two kinds. There's a regional growth plan, and then there's a comprehensive plan like this. I think I know the answer, but I don't mind.
Well, I meant not the answer to our question. Is it possible that we send something to him for an opinion and he says, I'm not answering that?
I think, well, anything's possible, Mr. Berry. I think it's most improbable that that's the case. I would reach out to Senator Bowling, ask her to expedite that for us, is what I would do.
Perfect.
Got a motion from Barry and a second from
Almacher.
Vote green for, as it gets for the Attorney General's opinion. Red for no. That passes 7-0.
Yeah.
Resolution number.
We have one more agenda item here to talk about, and that's the ARP money, the spending plan. And did you want to continue that tonight?
No, sir. I would like to make a motion to continue the discussion on that and just lay that on the table. You lay that on? You can't do it on the table.
You're making a special order for it to be.
Make a motion to postpone that item until after we can have a study session on the ARP funds and to instruct the city not to expend any of those funds in the interim. That's my motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
We got
Second from Mathis.
Quick question. May I ask the city attorney, have we spent any of those?
City administrator.
Sorry, administrator.
Okay.
You're both wearing gray. Have we spent any of those funds?
This board has approved some items. Yes,
so.
you've approved an engineering contract with Scott St. John to do some design work on a couple of projects. You've approved an engineering contract with Reagan Smith for the North Jackson Streetscape Plan. And and I'll have to identify if there's anything else. Those are what come to
Oh,
mind.
we already purchased the garbage truck.
Spending the money, you can't retract.
You can't retract it.
We have already purchased the garbage truck.
Well, it's a plan, so it was my understanding that a plan could be amended because it affects 4 years' worth of spending.
Did we adopt a resolution?
The resolution
I
is
do
adopted
agree
as
with
a...
Alderman Almacher that
It's
the
May the
spending plan
9th.
can be amended.
Yes.
But the question that I was asked was, have we
On
already
anything you've already
to
done, we
some
can't undo, and I recognize that. But from this point forward, on any of those other items, if we could stop any expenditures and revisit the plan first.
And there wouldn't be anything spent without coming to this body. I can't imagine any expenditures under 10,000, and that's my spending authority.
So that would be my only thing. I agree with that as well, but not to stop anything that we've already committed to. When I say committed to, that the board has already approved specifically, like the garbage truck or anything like that. Right. I don't think we can.
I don't think we can.
Check might be written already.
It's already been used. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything, yeah, check's already been, okay, good.
Motion. We have a motion to postpone the discussion on the ARP spending plan. And
But did you, it was postponed, but not expend anything else? Just only honor what we've already spent, don't add any new?
Meaning we don't want to see any new items come to the agenda on that plan until we have a chance to revisit it, in other words.
So it would be green for...
Green to postpone.
Green to postpone and discuss it further later.
I'm going,
green, yes, Alderman Dunn.
I'm just going to say that I'm going to go ahead and just vote no on this simply because anything over $10,000 is already coming before the board.
There's a number of things over $10,000.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying I don't understand why we need to.
This is for instructions to the staff to save them time on trying to get things together for future board packets as according to that plan. It's for
Well, and I would like to see what kind of things that I'm not privy to what, everything that is committed in the ARP.
Yes.
I would like a chance to review that.
Yeah, sure we can get that information.
Sorry,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on it? We're agreeing to postpone spending ARP money. Passes 6-1.
And Mr. Mayor, I have one item of other new business that I'm sorry I overlooked to a member in the audience, and I need to apologize. I would like to, I don't know what the proper way to do this, but I would like to make a motion to approve a permit request for special event signs to be placed in the public way for a community prayer walk on Saturday, October 1st. I realize this would take an amendment to the agenda, so I would like a 2/3 majority vote in order to vote on that for them to be able to place their signs.
Was that from the consent agenda?
I noticed that it wasn't until October 1st. However, they're wanting to put signage up now, so I don't want to hinder their events.
Is that on the agenda already?
It was on the consent
Well, it
agenda
was
that
on
they
the
said no
consent
change.
agenda.
Okay, but that failed.
That failed.
You failed it.
Okay, well then, let me revise it.
Can you bring it back with the 2/3 vote?
I mean, I would like to I would like to make a motion to allow for special event signs for any community prayer walks on October 1st to be placed in public right-of-ways.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second.
Yeah.
You're changing the...
Do what? With the fee waiver as well.
With the fee waiver.
Who made the second?
To change the agenda, and then you have to...
Okay, take a 2/3 vote to change the agenda. You're voting now to change the agenda.
Yeah, I guess my kind of quick comment on that is that's why you...
I just don't understand why we
you actually
voted
looked at
it
the
down
consent agenda,
and now we're
because
not.
A lot of people
Not either.
probably were hurt by that.
I don't either.
But why do we have these rules? I'm not sure if I understand.
We didn't have time to discuss everything else on the consent agenda that needed to come off. That's why.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and we've got a vote.
I abstain just because this is
we as a board.
This is ludicrous. This is ludicrous.
Pass the time.
I think I've had enough tonight.
I have too.
Okay, 2/3 vote to
I
approve.
need a couple more voters, Wilson and Glick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is for the prayer walk, to amend the agenda to allow them to do their signs of the prayer walk. We have to approve to amend the agenda.
First, it is to amend the agenda, and then you have to go back and actually vote on it.
Yes.
This is to amend the agenda. Agreed to amend the agenda.
Mr. Glick, did you vote?
This was my mistake. It should have been pulled off. I apologize.
Amend the agenda.
Passes with all voting members. Now the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a permit request with the fee waiver for special event signs to be placed in the public way for that community prayer walk on October 1st.
A second.
I'll second. Wait. Maybe.
Second from Glick.
I'm sorry. I have to stop you because you have denied, you have basically
We denied
voted
it.
against it, right?
You can't
So
bring
you
it up.
can't bring it up. You voted it is, unless you bring it back tonight in a substantially different order, wording, it cannot be brought back tonight. Unless you vote to reconsider it, reconsider your vote, but that would be the vote on the whole consent agenda.
The permit's not until October.
We have to get signs in there.
That's why they're wanting to do signs, special event signs now.
I would say that is why we need to pay better attention and not just.
Well, I would like for this, I believe that, Mr. Mayor, you can make a judgment call on this. This was an oversight on my part. It should have been pulled from the consent agenda.
This agenda was presented to you on Wednesday per the request of this board. You have had since Wednesday to contact me and have any item removed. I want to remind the new members, because this is a new rule that was not a rule when Coach Mathis was on the board before, so they may not be aware. But that additional time with the agenda was asked for. And so now you have 5 days to contact me in advance and have any item that you request removed from consent.
There was a lot of stuff. I don't agree with in one fell swoop having multiple things
spending
that the public
thousands
is
of
not even
dollars.
aware of
Yeah.
really what it is, and voting to just pass that through a group of items like that. I think that's irresponsible.
And you have been elected to be their representative and to do your homework.
We are not elected to be scolded by you.
Mayor, point of order, the motion is not acceptable. The motion is not in order at this time, and I motion to.
Order often.
You're being very insubordinate.
What's
right
the
now.
word thinking of for leaving? I have to agree with that.
Yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Got a motion to adjourn. That supersedes all other motions.
Do we vote?
I'm sorry, what?
Motion by Barry, second by who?
Not ready.
Barry?
Yep.
Who made the second?
There was already a motion on the
Jerry did.
floor for that, and there was already a second.
You asked me to bring parliamentarian tonight, parliamentarian, and I was glad to do that. I'm having to take her advice, and I think you appreciate having someone that follows the rules.
Put your signs out, and if they're, I'll handle the fine at the next meeting.
Board's adjourned.
Put your signs out.